there, ref. That's he got the ball. Good afternoon, Tottenham fans. Welcome back to the Irish Hotspur with your boys Dave, Jack and Soren, bringing you your pre-match build-up, hoping to calm the nerves ahead of this big game this season. This evening, it is a season-defining game. We were one shot away from potentially making Wembley, and we head into it tonight with a narrow 1-0 advantage. Of course, we travel to Scamfield. I call it Scamfield because the amount of times we've suffered robberies up there and been on the wrong end of VAR decisions. Hopefully, we're just asking for fairness from the referees tonight. However, we are up against it. We are against the bookies tonight. Hopefully, we can come out on top. It is the Carabao Cup semi-final second leg, everybody. And as you can see, I'm absolutely bloody pumped for this one. Let's just quickly go around the house before we bring up everything you need to know. Welcome people in the comments. Jack, how are you feeling ahead of this big game tonight, my man?
It feels good to be just in a big game. Feels good to have another big game. We've had a lot of big games this season, to be fair, regardless of the doom and gloom, in and around the team. I'm happy to be in a semifinal, Dave. I'm happy clapping to even be in a semifinal. I'm almost similar. It's kind of like when I was in the, semifinals or finals before the Carabao Cup or even the Champions League. I sort of just have this kind of just grin on my face, just kind of being in it. It's just kind of a spectacle to behold. And also it's just nice to be the game that everyone else is going to be watching tonight. If they're, a fan of a different team, if they're a neutral or whatever, everybody is going to be watching this game. And it's also nice to know that we're the team with something to hold on to. We're the team with, maybe already a leg up in it. The only thing I'm really just thinking about and ruining at this point is the Pedro Porro maybe missed chance. We could have won that game 2-0, 3-0, but if we just carry on that performance into this one, Dave, we're in a cup final and we're happy clapping even further. So this is one of the biggest games of the season, if not the biggest game of the season that we've been looking forward to. So I'm happy for it.
No, I'm absolutely pumped for it, Jack. And look, I will say heading into this game tonight, it's not about Levy in, Levy out. It's not about Ange Postecoglou in, Ange Postecoglou out. Wipe all that tonight. Let's get behind the boys and let's see if we can unite and get this over the line tonight. Down to Soren. Soren, how are you, my man? I mean, look, this is being built up as basically, Spurs are going into the Lions den, but I look at it as we're coming into this game off the back of 2 wins, 2 clean sheets. I mean, is this as an imountable task as many people are making it?
There's only one thing to say. Spurs are on the way to Wembley. Tottenham's going to do it again. Look, come on. I mean, it's a big game, innit? And any Tottenham fan out there that is not both excited and bricking it ain't a Tottenham fan, because 1-0 up going into their place, anything could happen, but it's game.
You're absolutely spot on. Anything can happen, and that's the beauty of the cup competitions. We've had a long, hard journey here. We had that long daunting trip to Coventry, survived that late on. Then we went and beat Man City against all the odds, also beat Man United, and also dragged the result in the first leg against Liverpool, which has put us in this position today. Hopefully Spurs can seize on the moment. Carte diem. Look, let's welcome in some people at home, and then let's bring up everything you need to know, and then let's crack on. I think I've got a good handle to make sure I say hi to absolutely everybody that's in here this evening. Let's start with Mick Kermalock. Says, good afternoon, Jack and Dave. Come on, you Spurs. Great to see you. Finn Rickwood says, big up, lads. Big up, Finn. Good to see you, my man. We've also got Nolan Walker. I'm nervous. I'm a nervous wreck for this one. I think you sum up the entire Spurs fan base. Rooty Toots says, big up, Dave and Jack and everyone in the chat. Massive game today. My blood pressure is rising. I think everyone's blood pressure is rising, my man. We are Spurs TV. I actually have a good feeling. I'm not going to give my prediction, but let's just wait and see. Football is a crazy sport. That it is. We also have L. Jason in the house. Let's outscore Liverpool. That would be nice. Now, we haven't won up there since 2011, which shows the monumental task ahead of us. Danny G74 says, we can beat them. That's for sure. Sam Johnston says, this is our time. This is our moment. This is when we show the world what a good team we truly are. I mean, I do agree. I think it's a huge opportunity to actually put a bit of respect back on Spurs' name, back on that cockerel as well. We also got Nick Carey. We all know what's probably going to happen, but come on, you Spurs. 1-1 would be an absolute dream. That it would, my man. And Bob, big up, lads and chat. It's time to stand up and be counted, because tonight at 8 p.m, when the whistle goes, there will be nowhere to hide. To dare is to do. We've got this. Come on, you Spurs. Skunkwork says, getting the party started early. Hopefully not too early, my man. Mungie32 says, absolutely buzzing for tonight. Danny Darko, oi, oi, come on, you Spurs. Big up Jack and Dave and the almighty Spurs fan base. Let's effing have it. We have James Watson. Big
up, James.
SDFC Benny, let's have it. Love that. Mark P says, evening all. Buzzing for tonight. Come on, you Spurs. I mean, look, this is what we're in football for. These big nights. This is what we want to be a part of. We have Dragon D's Nuts. Morning. Good to see you. We've got Mud FC. Come on, the boys. Absolutely love that. Daniel, leave me. I'm weirdly looking forward to this one. Come on, you Spurs. Balu says, nervous and buzzing. Regan says, let's go. Tottenham. Danny Kiriakou. Hopefully you're keeping well. How's life out in Amsterdam, my man? Living the dream out there. Jamie says, good evening, lads. Nothing but positive vibes for Spurs. Win tonight. Straffing Joe. Big up Straffing Joe. Good to see you. Shane Tam says, hey, Jack, Dave, and Soren. Hope all are well today. Come on, you Spurs. Future's bright. Future's Lily White says, evening. And after that, he says, come on, you Spurs. Lily White, India, it's been one of those high blood pressure days.
Yeah.
Colin Turner, Liverpool would try every trick in the book to get every decision to go their way. Oh, that's for sure. The referees are geniuses, giving everything to Liverpool all the time. John G, 4:10 a.m. If any Aussie in here is a real effing supporter, in or out for Ange, honestly, have a good feeling about this. Slim Boy Tubbs, the oxymoron, says, big up one and all. Come on, you Spurs. RST, great to see you. What's your guys' pre and post game meal plan? I mean, pre, I just had a chicken sandwich. Post, look, if we win, it's hard not to go for that mixed kebab, best of both worlds, right? Doner and chicken. I think that's what you got to go for, right? A party in my mouth. Jack, just quickly, what's your post game meal if win?
I had a donut beforehand, artist tea, and
Nice.
and of course the black coffee because I'm in serious mode, but also taking a little bit of sweetness before the game because, like I said, I'm in a happy clapping mood. And then afterwards, if we do end up winning the game, I'm gonna go probably full pizza, something like that. Just order the whole cake, Dave. Order the whole pie.
Oh, I love that. Absolutely love that. Why not go absolutely ham? Got a few more comments to get through, and then we will crack on with everything. We've got Mark McDermott in house. Come on, you Spurs. Let's go. Big up, Marky. Terry Wright, big up, Gent. So pumped for the game. Come on, you Spurs. J Mac, big up, Dave, Jack, and Soren. Come on, you Spurs. Maisie's Adventure, where do you play Gray? We'll be talking about that tonight. Do not worry. That's if he starts. Kurt Smith, good to see you, Kurt. Afternoon, Dave. Big up, my man. Great to see you. Del Boy, as always, checking in. Big up, Dave, Jack, Soren. Let's kick Scouse arse tonight. Poor old Gooners. I mean, look, there's an incentive there, right? Newcastle in the final, another team who hasn't won anything in a long time. They're also going to be nervous going into it. I think there's a massive incentive for us tonight. Stateside Footy, good afternoon, gentlemen. I hope you're well. Tonight is the night where Spurs get their 1-1 draw and advance to Wembley. Come on, you Spurs. Well, I mean, that's what we're all hoping for. Scotty Hynam says, big up to all. Come on, you Spurs. Alberto's in the house. David, I am here and alive. Come on, you Spurs. Hello, Jack. Don't worry. We see you, Alberto. We see you. Trinidad. Positive vibes only. We can do it. Just need to give overdue payback to the Reds. That would be nice. Just a couple more. We've got V Scarred on me, and boys, no work today. I'll be watching it along. Come on, you MFing Spurs. Well, do you know what? I wonder how many people did take the evening or the day off work. Please get in the comments and let me know. We've got Nirajan Pandit says, come on, you Spurs. I'm sure we can get a good result and go to Wembley. Jack Bloom says, come on, you Spurs. Paul Mansbridge, big up, lads. Come on, you Spurs. Mark New, big up, Dave and Jack. Karma for the UEFA Champions League 2019 final. I think many fans are praying on that tonight, Mark. That's for sure. I mean, look, we've just also always get the wrong end of decisions against Liverpool. Vandal Ross says, hey, all, come on, you Spurs. Haley Davey says, enjoying a snowy Seattle. Come on, you Spurs. Big in the house. Big up, Big Mike. Hopefully you and the family are keeping well, brother. Dermotron says, sorry to miss tonight. Spurs will win tonight. Come on, you Spurs. Dermo's at a hospital appointment, so he will not be on tonight. He will be missed today, definitely. That's for sure. I mean, this is games that Dermo is made for. But it was his birthday yesterday. Everybody should make sure you get in the chat and wish the guy a big happy birthday. Big up, Dermo. And then Moondog says, Danso first goal header from a corner. Oh, look, that'll be unbelievable. I'm sure, me and Jack can pull out an old Danso song, if he does score today. That'll be absolutely brilliant, Moondog. Just put a sneaky fiver on it. Please let me know. We've got a couple more here. Brown says, what's up, lads? Feeling a bit sick, but positive. Come on, you Spurs. That's the nerves, my man. Darius says, big up, Dave, Jack, on the panel. Battle for Wembley incoming. We're going to do it. And then we also have Kerry King. Come on, you Spurs, still working, but come on, you F. Absolutely love that. Sorry if we have missed anyone. Spurs GCTV coming in, West Coast as well. Good to see you. I'm sure someone will pipe up East Coast in a minute. And of course, Fighty Foam is in here. And Rhode Island's finest. Great to see absolutely everybody in the house. Spurs fans are pumped everywhere. Also, Paddy Harnett, the one and only from Limerick. Great to see you in the house along with Archer. Everyone's coming in now as well. Big up, Big Mike. Great to see you, my man. So everybody is in the house. Quickly, we'll just check in with Donovan, and then we'll give everybody everything they need to know. We'll crack on. Donovan, how are you? How's your nerves?
Oh, great, lad. I had to get my workout in, get in the right mindset, get right with the Lord for the next 4 hours here. Got my toilet paper. I got my Red Bull. I'm set. So whatever happens, happens. And you know what? I embrace this because we've been starved for this for so long. So let's take it in. Let's take it in the moment. Whatever happens, happens, and let's just enjoy how far we've come under this team and all the hurdles and obstacles that were thrown our way. We're 90 minutes away from something spectacular. So let's get behind the lads today. Come on.
No, workout 100%. Session and a Red Bull. He's had a very Jamie Vardy morning. Donovan Osterreicher. I like it. He's in the right mindset. Dave, tell us what we need to know.
Love that. Well, the game is being played at Anfield, aka Scamfield. 8 p.m. kickoff. Referee is Craig Pawson. In the VAR room, it's Michael Salisbury. If you want to watch the game in the UK and Ireland, it's on Sky Sports. In the USA, it's on Paramount Plus, and in Australia, it is on beIN Sports. Injuries. I mean, we've got Romero, Dragosin, Van de Ven, Udogie, Madison, Johnson, Udeberg, Werner, Solanke, all out for tonight's game. And Liverpool are just missing Trent Alexander-Arnold, as far as I'm aware. So that is everything all of you guys need to know. Great to see you, Skunkworks. Yeah, Rosary Beads, that's for sure. Hotspurs, Emerson, great to see you. Please, Spurs, win. Saludos desde Chile. So I presume from Chile. Really appreciate that. Is that where Arturo Vidal's from?
Arturo Vidal, Alexis Sanchez, of course, that's former Gooner, but still not a bad player. Trying to think any Spurs players with Chilean heritage. That's good trivia for us. I'm not sure.
Spurs.
Yeah, Chile Spurs. That's
Good
actually very similar weather, I've heard, to where I am in Seattle, even though it's in like South America. I've heard they have very, very kind of sort of unique weather to sort of just their own country. It's like kind of very Seattle, almost even kind of England kind of weather to a degree in Chile. But yes, I love the tag as well. Hotspurs Emerson. If you're an Emerson enthusiast,
have we ever had a Spurs player that's played for Chile? Let me know. You'll probably know. Big yourself up. And then we've got Faz Radfar 4-1 Spurs. Tonight is about who wants it more. 4-1 Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. I mean, Soren, you're nodding your head there. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I think it's one of those times where it's never a good time to play Liverpool, but they're just a little bit up and down at the moment, and you just kind of hope that maybe this isn't their priority. I mean, look, we desperately need it more than anybody, and it's going to be kind of unthinkable to think we're not going to do it tonight. We've got to get to the final, because I just think, as much as anything for our club, it might, if we get to the final, it might just bring the fans back together a little bit. It might just give a little bit of peace and calm, and just calm everything down a little bit. If we go out tonight, it's not the losing tonight that I'm not looking forward to. It's all the fans that are so against the club and against Postecoglou and everything else. It's just the rhetoric from them. So look, in my mind, there's only one thing: we're going to win. There's no other choice. And for us, it probably is the biggest game of the season. A little story. It was funny because I was talking to an Arsenal fan this morning, and he went on to tell me that he's quite glad that they're out of this cup, because it doesn't mean anything to them and they don't need it. And I just thought, he says, you need it more, so we'll let you have it. And I just thought, do you know what? I just hope we do go and win it, and you bottle it as usual, just so we can give you some shit at the end of the season. But yeah, come on, we need to win tonight. We need to win. And my thing is, we're going to go 1-0 down quite early, and in the 92nd minute, we're going to score and we're going to break their fucking hearts because we've gone to Wembley. That's
Yeah,
the way
that'd be
I'm looking
nice.
at it.
Stone Cold
1-1
Stunner.
draw. Yeah, 1-1 draw, last minute, a bit like the Ajax game, where straight in the bottom corner.
Oh, that'd be delicious.
Yeah, just straight in the bottom corner, and it's just like, just see all the players wiped out.
Who's getting it, Soren? Who's scoring
Big
it,
Scarlet
Soren?
knockdown. Big
Who's
Scarlet
scoring
knockdown to
it?
somebody.
I'll tell you who's scoring it, Bergvall.
Ooh, that'd be nice. That would absolutely kill them, especially considering they're saying he should have been sent off in the first leg. But you know what? I sort of do agree with what everybody's saying there, and I also think, you know, look, it's a massive game, you know, and you got to take the context in around why it's such a huge game. You know, the poor league form that we've shown, you know, staying in these cup competitions has given Postecoglou, if you would like, a stay of execution. It has masked over a lot of what would have been scrutinised if we weren't in the cups, what was going on in terms of the Premier League and all that sort of stuff. And then you've got the FA Cup to follow. This is a huge week for Tottenham Hotspur. We can either, you know, be happy clapping, we could find ourselves in a final and go and be Aston Villa and continue in the FA Cup, and all of a sudden you're thinking, could we do the treble this year in terms of cup competitions? Or we could be completely out of them, and then all of a sudden you're back to the grim reality of the league, and then you have to wait all the way to March for the Carabao Cup final or for the European games to start kicking back in again, which means then they're going to have to go on a pretty flawless run, because I don't think fans will accept them dropping points once we're sort of out of the cup competitions, because the fun, the excitement, the potential belief of what could, what if is gone. So I think this is an absolutely huge week for Tottenham Hotspur. I mean, would everybody agree, disagree? I mean, guys, come in with your thoughts.
I mean, I echo just quickly the same thing. I think it's the biggest game of the season. The only slight sort of frustration I have is I think a lot of us built it up that maybe we would have more players back by this stage. Like we would have had Mickey Van de Ven, we would have had Romero. I think, you know, someone will probably say what maybe I've spoiled a bit of the conversation for later. Hopefully,
yeah. Well, I do want to get into that. Just one more question, two more questions before we get into Van de Ven and Romero on that.
Just quickly. That's for me, Dave, the context behind this game that I do think has been just slightly sour. Don't get me wrong, still happy clapping, but like I said, you know, going into this game, it felt like it was already the biggest game of the season, like months or however long we knew about it. It already looked like it was going to be the biggest game of the season after we got that result. But then, you know, just we kind of assumed that Romero and Van de Ven would be back. We kind of assumed that we would have bought a ton of players in the January window, or maybe not a ton, or at least 2 or 3 quite quickly that we could have embedded into the team that would have also maybe shaped the first team a bit differently. And it's still questionable whether we've done that, you know, in time and stuff, but I don't want to spoil the conversation. But that's the context around this game that still makes it the biggest game of the season, but maybe some of us would have gone into it like really buzzing instead of maybe a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
It all depends. It all depends on the 90-minute unfolds, in my opinion. Ange alluded to in his press conference there. By the way, brilliant press conference. They haven't checked it out. It's 40 minutes of absolute great speech. The guy was on top form. You know, he was confident. He wasn't shying away from any questions. He gave it as good as he took. But he alluded to, whatever happens, this is a great experience for our players. We do have a very young squad, a very naive squad on the way where some of the players, like you said in your pre-match build-up there, Dave, not your build-up, your predicted lineup, how, for example, like Bissouma getting an early yellow card needs to avoid that, you know, like, so we can take those tactical fouls if we are in the 60th, 70th, 80th minute, when to bring down players. We saw Bergvall go in full of piss and blood in the first leg and almost get himself sent off, right? So it's like finding these moments, learning how to read the game, learning how to play 90 minutes of football. And that's it, just playing 90 minutes of football and like playing mistake-free football that gets you over the line. So the biggest thing for me is, yes, it is a very polarizing game. It's going to be a very determining game depending on the outlook of our season. But it's how we go about the game. It's how the 90 minutes is played. I don't want to get too negative or too positive, but it's just how we go and conduct ourselves for 90 minutes is really going to tell us how this team is going to fare in the second half of the season.
I mean, the only thing I'm going to add to that is, look, the final's on the 16th of March. I come back from my holidays on the 15th, so I want that final to look forward to. Come on.
Look, it would be absolutely brilliant to have that to look forward to. I think I'll have to make emergency plans to try and get over and stuff like that if we did do it. But it'd be nice, for once. We've got Beyond 72 says looking forward to Twitter Reacts tomorrow. This is Angefield. I mean, there's our title right there, Jack. So we'll take note of that one if we get through tonight. Big up Beyond 72. Cotton Brown says, question, lads. We mostly wanted Newcastle in the final. What team do you think Big Ange would have liked? I think you'd probably prefer Newcastle as well, to be quite frank on that one. Cotton Brown, good to see you. And then Skunkworks, I think every Spurs fan feels like this. I just want our pride to be intact after the game. No effing crumbling for sure. I do want to throw a question out there about Anfield. Look, it is one of the toughest places to play in world football, especially in the Cup semi-final. This season, we have had difficulties handling similar intense atmospheres like the one out in Turkey against Galatasaray and the North London derby against Arsenal. How do we think the atmosphere at Anfield, will have an effect on this Spurs side tonight? You know, we are one of the younger sides in the league, and do we have the mental strength to stay composed and avoid that sort of emotional roller coaster that comes with playing at Anfield? It's very easy to get swept up in the emotions, you know, the referee decisions going against you and them almost willing that ball over the line. How do we think we're going to stand up to that test tonight? Because I do think it's a conversation we need to have. It is a real thing.
Soren, what are your opinions on Anfield, since, you know, you might be more experienced in that regard? Because from the TV, sometimes I feel like it can be a bit quieter than they hype it up to be, but then other games it can be a bit louder.
Cup games are different though, Jack.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I'm more experienced because I'm an old fogey, or
Trevor,
you saw
the
grey beard and he said,
however you want to take it.
Look, there's no pretending going to Anfield is always a horrible game. The only thing I will say is, as long as if they score early, we could be in trouble.
Yeah.
The longer the game goes on without them scoring, or if they score and we score, or we score first, it's just trying to the nerves will come in a little bit for them. The longer it goes on, and if we're still 1-0 up, and look, we're talking about a group of lads that are still kids, but they have played in some pretty hostile places now. You know,
Fair.
going away, and you know, even if we've come away and lost, they've still got a little bit out of those games, that knowing what it's like to be in an intimidating atmosphere. And we know Anfield's going to be rocking tonight. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. But if we just play our game, and look, let's not forget, it's all right saying we wanted some of our players back, but this group of players have actually done quite well recently. Shut up. They've kept some. Sorry, it's just telling me Tottenham's going to win. They've kept some clean sheets. They've not done too badly. So, as much as it would have been nice to have those players back, to me, it's not such a bad thing for this team to go in there, because they have played together a little bit. So, we could have had Van der Ven back again, playing with players that he's not really played with, or just coming back from an injury. Can you imagine if Van der Ven starts or Romero starts and 10 minutes in the breakdown? That's probably going to be a worse kick in the teeth for us. So, as much as going to Anfield with a group of kids, maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe for once it's not a bad thing. And these players,
as in, like, they're not tarnished by, used to sort of crumbling in these sort of games and atmospheres. You mean they're not tarnished? It's a good thing in terms of they're not tarnished. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and the thing is, this group of kids have got some confidence behind them. They're not afraid to go out and play. So I'm not saying that they're not going to be intimidated going to Anfield, because it is going to be noisy. But if we get through that first 10, 15, 20 minutes and we haven't conceded, then they're going to grow in confidence. And the only thing we kind of probably lack the most is somebody out there that's, real proper leader that will just keep these players going. So for me, it's not a bad thing to have the kids out there. Yes, going to Anfield's, it would have been nice to have had the second leg at home, but we could have been 3 or 4-0 down. So, we're going in there 1-0 up. it's basically the same group of players that did that. So why shouldn't they be confident? Why shouldn't they think we can go there and either get a draw or a win or come out of it and go to Wembley? You know, why not?
I think what I agree with there for sure is, you know, that, you know, with some of them being so young, they're not tarnished, you know. It felt like, you know, with the Pochettino squad after that, it felt like anytime we got to these occasions, because they were so tarnished, you know, almost felt like they're going into it expecting to lose these games, where you don't really have that around this current squad. I agree with you on that. And also the point that you make about, have they learned anything from that Galatasaray game? You look at Lucas Bergvall, you would think maybe he's probably learned a lot from that Galatasaray game, the North London derby as well. You would hope maybe someone like Kinski, maybe, who was a little bit nervous in that game, if he does play tonight, you know, maybe has learned a little bit from that. But Jack, to swing this back to you, and then we'll get Donovan on this as well, is this where I do agree with you a little bit. You know, I do think sometimes the Anfield atmosphere can be hyped up a little bit more. I do think we have to take stock in a cup. They love this. This is where this atmosphere is, you know, garnered its reputation. However, I just feel like for the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes, if we can survive that onslaught, no one makes any mistakes to allow that crowd to get something to get revved up behind, you know, anytime a player, if he does make a mistake, he touches the ball, they'll start making it a really sort of loud, raucous atmosphere. I actually agree with you. I think if we can survive that 20, 25 minutes, without giving them any real sighters on goal, I think that crowd quietens down completely. And I think then, all of a sudden, there's a bit of momentum shift in Tottenham's favour.
Of course, I only have the bias of being a Yank and then also seeing it through the perspective of the TV. But I have noticed from time to time, you know, when, like you say, maybe Liverpool's crowd will be really up for it for the first 10, 15 minutes. But if you can't survive that onslaught, like you're saying, and perhaps even hit them with like an opening goal or maybe a few counterattacks that look really dangerous, you know, that actually do end up sort of making the home crowd quite nervous, I think you can end up, you know, making that stadium sound very, very quiet. Don't get me wrong. The Spurs stadium also sounds very, very quiet at times, you know, when the same thing is happening to us. I'm not saying that our crowd is any better or anything like that, but it has felt like, just from the perspective of a TV watcher and a Yank, I have felt like that crowd isn't maybe consistently raucous for 90 minutes, like what maybe you got with Newcastle's atmosphere. I think Newcastle's atmosphere looks to be a lot more of a more difficult place to go than the case of Liverpool's, or even, you know, feels like Crystal Palace, Dave, you know, feels like a tougher place to go sometimes with, you know, when they're really up for it and they're actually in the game. They've made it tougher for us than maybe even Liverpool have. And then also, you know, we've been through the wars, and I think Soren made a good point. You made a good point. A lot of these younger players, in a sense, they have just been thrown out here just to sort of try to save this season and just basically take on all of these difficult games with no real help, no real rest, no other players to sort of depend on or lean on. It's just had to be them every time. The Archie Grays, the Bergvalls, the Sars, you know, even Sar, right? We think of him as like a more experienced player. He's 22, for crying out loud. You know, the guy is still so young. And so many of these guys have really been put through the wars here. If you look at it this way, despite this being an intimidating game, they've been through already so many tough games as it is. You could look at this as like a reward, you know? This is like your hard work. This is your results, you know, manifesting a semifinal second leg with something still to play for and something technically to hold on to. You don't even need to necessarily win the game. So I think the players, despite being still probably running on fumes and fatigue, a lot of these guys that might be on the younger side of things could look at this as perhaps their reward for all their hard work. And if they just can manifest another really, really good performance and strong quality performance, then, you know, maybe they'll end up getting another reward being in a final.
I actually agree with you in terms of games like this. I actually think mindset and psychology is absolutely huge heading into these
Need
games.
a few Cole Palmers in there.
Yeah, like, you know, in years gone by, I almost feel like as Tottenham fans, you know, and even Tottenham, you know, we were always nervous, apprehensive, sort of heading into these games, always fearing the worst. Whereas I think the way what you said there, Jack, where it's like, look, this is your reward. Look, we've been through some hard times, some gritty times. We've had to stick together, almost like a band of brothers, you know. This is your rewards. Go out and claim it tonight. This is your carrot that's been dangling at the end of that long, long path. You know, go out and claim your rewards tonight. I absolutely love that, and I think if I'm in and around Tottenham, that's the mindset or approach I would be taking to this. It's like, look, guys, no one else knows from the outside what we've been in. We've been slandered, slated, everything else, but we knew this moment would come. Now let's go and seize the day. Carpe diem. I absolutely love that. And down to you, Donovan. I mean, How crucial is the likes of Son and Ben Davies, who have been here quite a long time, in atmospheres like this, in terms of setting the tone, in terms of from minute one, also all it pre-game, etc., making sure absolutely everybody's switched on, guiding some of these youngsters through the game in terms of, not just leading by example, but vocal as well, pulling them back into positions where they want them to be. How crucial of a part does Son and Davies play in terms of settling into this game tonight?
Huge. Love how you singled out Son and Davies. I mean, if they're going to bring anything to the fold, they need to bring that, like, loss is powerful, right? You talk about psychology and the mindset, like, loss is powerful. And how many times has Ben Davies and Son almost been there? They've been to the summit, haven't quite got over the line, and they have to draw on that. They have to draw on that feeling. They have to draw on that emotion, and they have to really resonate with the rest of the squad and say, hey, man, like, we've been here so many times, and trust me, lads, you don't want to be on the other side of that when the whistle blows and you're not walking to Wembley, or you're not winning that Champions League, or you're not winning that winner's medal. I would argue that the youngsters like Archie Gray, Leeds United, one of the most controversial football clubs in Europe, English football. They're either loved or they're hated. And the Yo-Yo Club, and growing up in that academy and experiencing that hostile environment in the first team of players just pelting hate at you. We saw what happened during the relegation and promotion battle in 2020, was it, when Jack Grealish, this is a different club, just saying the savageness of the championship. Jack Grealish getting physically attacked on the pitch. They know what it's like. Archie Gray knows what it's like to play in that hate and a cauldron of absolute animosity boiling over. So he's a taste of Bentancur. We saw him leading that midfield, being the marshal, getting us over the line, directing us to Suma, directing us to Sar, telling our guys to calm down, take a breath. You don't have to rush. You don't have to play panicked. And that's the biggest thing. You don't want to play this game panicked. You want to control the game, and you can concede possession, control possession, as long as you're calm and you're passing and your ability and playing out of the back. And we've seen the likes of Kinski, very calm on the ball, very almost lackadaisical, very, very calm. So it's about those players. And I keep going about Bentancur because people are forgetting he's a Serie A winner in Italy. He's played at Juventus. He's played in Turin. He's played in those big derbies. He knows what it's like. He's played under the European lights. And he's a general of our midfield. I don't know what the future questions hold, but I'll go back to what Soren was saying. Game management, getting over that first 10, 15 minutes. You take this game in 15-minute segments, 6 15-minute segments. That first 15 minutes, you don't concede. That next 15 minutes, you grow into the game. Then you go back to not conceding for that last 15. Then you go back in, get that message from Ange, regroup, reorganize, adjust to how the game went. Then you do the exact same thing over again. You start with 15 minutes of solid defensive football that doesn't concede any chances. Nothing stupid at the back, nothing fancy. Just play smart possession football. Then that middle 15, you don't need to do anything. You just vibe. It just vibes. You play with the ball. You take the opportunities that present themselves. You don't force anything. You're controlling the game. That last 15, you battle the hatches. We see Danso come on. We see his debut. We see that defensive nosebreaker Mbappe come on, and then we just see the game out. So we take this game in phases. We rely on these senior heads, and rely on that hurt and that brokenness from Son and Davies that they're going to bring to the squad, that pain of not getting over the line. And we have a young squad that takes coaching well. There's no egos there. Like you said, Jack, manifestation. And these players have worked so hard to be here in their career. They've seen what listening and what Ange does, where it's gotten them so far. Sure, we almost got in a relegation battle, but we're still in a semifinal of a cup. They believe in the message. We've seen them collapse on the pitch in the Europa League. Ange is bottle lightning in a bottle here. We're going to see the best versions of these players tonight. I'm confident about it. And like I said, I just want 90 minutes to control. Then we'll see where we're at the end of it, lads. It's going to be an emotional night.
Do you know what? You sort of sparked the question in my head there, about Ange on the sideline tonight. He's being accused of being a statue and stuff like that. But does he need to sort of have that aura of calmness, or does he need to be on the sideline being very vocal tonight? Keeping everyone switched on, knowing that's a young squad. I mean, his demeanor on the sideline, I think, will be very interesting to watch tonight, because it's a hard one to know if you're him. What way do you approach it? If you look erratic, you're screaming, you're shouting and stuff like that. Yes, sometimes at home it can come across as enthusiastic, but sometimes it could unnerve the players out there a little bit. Maybe psychology-wise, I'm not doing enough or whatever, the manager's on to me and stuff. So I think it's very interesting on how he presents himself tonight. And I wonder, is that something that maybe he has thought about in terms of how he's going to conduct himself on the sideline tonight? I think that's very, very interesting. But, back to the likes of Ben Davies and Son, I also think how they come into this game will set the tone for tonight in general. If Son comes in nervous, Davies comes in nervous, and they sort of have that old aura, that old worry about them heading into these games, I think it rubs off on some of the younger members. They have to come into this game with balls of steel. They have to forget about everything that's gone by and realize this is their chance. When we've had a better squad and better players at this football club, they couldn't get over the line. But this is their chance to write their own legacy before they're before their careers come to an end at Tottenham Hotspur. And what a good buy present that was. Both have taken a lot of stick from fans, at different stages of their career. But what a sign-off for Tottenham Hotspur and their career would it be to help deliver a trophy here. So I think their demeanour heading into tonight's game is absolutely important. Does anyone want to come in on Ben Davies and Son, or how Postecoglou presents himself tonight? Because I do have one more question about how we're going to approach the game tonight. Should we be cautious? Should we be more attacking before actually getting into team news? And I know we are Tottenham TV as a super chat. Not we are Tottenham TV. We are Spurs TV. I am going to come back to that because I do have a question that I'm going to pair with that. We are Spurs TV. So big yourself up. So yeah, guys, open floor there on Ben Davies or Postecoglou.
I don't want to cut you guys off. I just want to caveat what I was saying about Ben Davies and Son. Don't come in with your tail between the legs. Oh, look at us, we've lost so much. I'm talking about using that pain and that as experience. Those are lessons learned, right? And that's that will galvanize them. That'll like you said, come up with their chest out. I want to see a steely Son. I don't want to see a Son. I don't want to see a smiley Son. Right, I don't want to see Son smiling until he scores a goal, gets an assist, or it's a 90th minute. I want to see him like we've seen him for Korea in the World Cup for certain matches where he has. I want to see the "Do you know who I am?" Heung-min Son from back in the Champions League, and I want to see the Ben Davies that goes in fiercely and crunches and tackles. I want to see both eyes blackened from Ben Davies. And secondly, Ange, yes, it's going to be very decisive on what kind of Ange you want to see. But nobody knows better than Ange. He's won multiple trophies. He's won everywhere he's been. He knows how to conduct himself in these big games. And he knows that being the frantic Conte Cam running around screaming, that's only going to aggravate the Anfield crowd. It's only going to create another atmosphere. He's going to add more energy to the crowd that they don't need. Ange is going to be cool. He's going to be calm. He's going to be composed, and he's going to lead us over the line here. So yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Just going to say that, look, Ange comes under a lot of criticism about not waving his hands about and screaming and shouting. And sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. Conte was the worst one, and Jose was the worst ones for, theatrical event. And what good does it actually do? How many times have we heard players say they hear the manager screaming from the sidelines and they just ignore it?
But from the outside looking in, though, so from the outside looking in, it looks enthusiastic, right? It looks game managed.
The amount of times that obviously recently I'm watching it on TV, so I haven't been to many games this season, but whenever it'll pan round and he will be saying some things, he'll be doing some things. So I don't know whether it's just a case of because obviously the fans in the stadium might see it more, but the amount of fans that complain that he does nothing are the ones watching it on TV where you don't get to see much of him. So I don't know. To me, if in my head, if my manager has told me what I'm supposed to go and do on the pitch, then it's down to me to go and do that. And at times you do think, well, why isn't he just doing this or why isn't he doing that? And I do get some of the criticism. But then you see it other times where he is screaming and shouting and you think, well, he does do it. Is it just in the wrong times or what? But I would rather have a manager stood on the sidelines who is calm, who you look at him and you think, well, he trusts us. He knows we can go and do the job, or we're going to go do the job, whatever, rather than somebody just stood there screaming and shouting. Because if you stood there screaming and shouting and waving your arms about for the whole match, how do you know which bits are actually that important?
Fair.
You've got your instructions. It's down to the players to go and do it. That's my philosophy, you know. And I know a lot of people don't agree with that.
You say it to Rich here, where he says Ange's calm composure has us 14th in the league. I guess it must really work then.
No, but you know, you look at that, and Ange's calm persona has got us to the semi-final of the Carabao Cup, 1-0 up in the second leg. So there's the argument to it. You know, we've just qualified for Europe for the knockout stages. We're still in the FA Cup. This is all Ange's calm persona. So is it Ange's calm persona that's got the players injured? Is it Ange's calm persona? You know,
I think
it doesn't matter how you look at it. You will find an argument for every single argument, 2 or 4. So,
to be honest, I don't even know if it's really that deep. I just think it has to come across as somewhat authentic, you know, from the manager. If the manager isn't that sort of guy to scream and shout and just sort of be that sort of explosive character, then he shouldn't force himself to be that person, because then it will come across as inauthentic, or will come across as like just, disingenuous, or you might even just make the players annoyed or nervous. But at the same time, I don't think we can criticize the managers that do a bit of the screaming and the shouting, because the Simeones of the world and the Contes of the world are the winning most managers in football right now. And I've seen those guys pretty much almost single-handedly. It's like they're conducting an orchestra or something, the way that they're almost willing their players on in like the final minutes, you know, defending for their lives, you know, to hold on to something. And that's, of course, their play style. And so you kind of need maybe that sort of explosive manager to maybe get the most out of your players if you are going to play that way. But I think with Ange, like, he's just not the guy to sort of explode and run down the touchline all the time, because if he were to do that, I think it would look a bit silly, and it's just not who he is. There have been moments, though, when Spurs have been really under the cosh and Spurs have looked, you know, all out of sorts. And there have been times when, you know, us from, again, you know, the Yanks and myself across the world looking from the TV, you do see him kind of having, let's say, a less than, how do you put it? Like, positive body language. Like, he is just sort of sitting there kind of, you know, shoulders shrunk, hands in the pockets, standing there looking cold. It's not really like he looks like Ancelotti or something, you know, where he's just sort of like chewing gum and just sort of looking relaxed as, you know, as possible. It's kind of just sort of a sunken sort of type of behavior. That's only how I'm looking at it. But at the end of the day, I will say, I don't think it's really that deep. I don't think you can win games through your, you know, like Jason Bell is saying, performative, you know, arts, you know, on the touchline. But I don't think you can criticize managers that do a lot of it at the same time, because they've won. They're some of the most managers in football that do a lot of that performative stuff.
You could also caveat that by saying, if you're a player and say you make a mistake and you look over to the touchline and you've got your manager shouting and bawling and blah, 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 it then puts you down another peg. Whereas if you look over and your manager's still calm, you think,
I think that's why, though, the better managers pick and choose that. I don't remember Conte doing that too much on the sidelines. If anything, I remember when we scored a goal, right? Conte almost like, again, is developing that cult-like mentality. He's like celebrating with the managers. He's like giving it the big end, you know, like to the opposition, you know, like, you know, team bench and stuff. And like, Ange doesn't do that. I don't think he needs to do that. But that's what I mean. I think these sort of things can help and can sort of, you know, create a good sort of like team-like sort of camaraderie, or, you know, sort of, again, cult-like mentality. But I think Ange is doing enough already. He has very, very young players that he's working with. I don't even know if like the Jose, Simeone, Conte-like style even works on these young players. I think you might have to do it a bit differently. I think you do have to sort of find maybe more of a middle ground. And I think he is more of a middle ground. He'll scream and shout when he needs to, but then he'll also look quite calm and sort of collected when he doesn't need to scream and shout. And again, like I said, I personally, if you're winning games of football, I don't think it's that deep, really.
Anyone else anything they want to add on that before we move on?
It's also to like sway the referee's decision too. Like he's gonna have to fight that battle as well. As much as we don't want to admit it, we did see how much the referee did. I'm not saying Newcastle got over the line by the referee, but when you're at the home crowd and you have like the home atmosphere, that home energy, and everybody's pulling for the home team, like any sport, obviously there's going to be a bit of bias from the referee just making those decisions, right? Making those quick judgment decisions that normally maybe wouldn't be taken if they're playing in a neutral zone. That's why I think that COVID season was the best year when it came to football results, based on the fact that it was even playing field, where the referee's decisions that year were Like, I don't think we had any big controversies that season. It was really well done. So yeah, so Ange is going to have to like get in the ear of the fourth official, not so much where it comes annoying, he gets himself carded, and then that seeps into the squad for lack of composure. But there are going to be some instances where Ange does need to be vocal. Ange does need to come out and be a bit more hands out of the pocket, should I say. But that being said, like we're sitting here having conversations about Ange, like the guy's won like 7 trophies, like 8 trophies, however he's been 9 trophies, and that's not even the amateur levels he's coached at. So the guy's a born winner. He's a serial winner. Whether you want to disregard it based on the level of football or not, he knows how to win these games. So yeah, it's going to be a good it's going to be a good battle, and he's going to know how to conduct himself. So I have full confidence in him. So.
No, look, I just thought it would be, with what you said there, I just thought it would be a very interesting discussion in terms of, from a semi-final point of view with the young players, Yes, I know, like, some fans out there wanting to be screaming, shouting, ranting, raving, pulling people over and stuff like that. But, sometimes as players, everyone reacts a bit differently. Maybe they don't want that. Maybe they do want that calm presence. So I just thought it was an interesting discussion. Brett Field says here, remember the old clips of Ange screaming at the Celtic players to get the ball forward. He's not afraid to get animated when he needs to. Fair point. And just quickly, sorry, before I let you back in there, Route 3561 says, F off with trying to find friends and fit in by hating on the manager. Dave equals turncoat douche. Now, I'm just going to say something just quickly on this, because I'm not actually going to give you too much airtime here. First of all, I just thought it was an interesting discussion to see how a manager handles himself in a cup semi-final. By no means is it me turning on the manager whatsoever. Now, when I bring up comments like Rich, this channel, I've always said, I will air people's opinions, even if I disagree with them. Now, if you don't like that, that's fine. There's plenty of other channels out there that you can go to that might get your creative juices flowing in that sort of way. But that's not going to be me. And lastly, someone like me who has backed the manager, who has given them sort of, not a free pass or excuses, but, recognize the injuries and stuff like that. Shit like this, all you're doing is driving people away. You're not going to do it to me because I'm strong, but you will drive people away from behind Ange Postecoglou. You think you're doing the right thing? You're bloody not. So cop on. Anyway, sorry, Soren. Fly off there, and then we'll crack on, because I don't want to stick on Ange Postecoglou. I want to get into how maybe we approach this game and that. But go on, Soren.
I was just going to quickly say, sort of jumping on with what Jack was saying about Conte and Jose, doing all the waving of arms and things like that. Ange not. What good did it do, Conte and Ange, in the end? He lost the dressing room. He lost the player. They both lost the players. And players don't want that necessarily. They don't want to be shouted at and screamed at and lambasted in public. Now, I'm not saying Ange is right, but I would guarantee if we were under Conte or Jose now, in the position we're in, he would have already lost the dressing room, because, with the lambasting and hanging your players out to dry and all this lot. So, look, I am not saying Ange is doing a great job in the league, because he clearly isn't, but there's obviously something that the players are happy with, and they're still playing for him, and that's going to get us through tonight.
I really do hope so, and I think that is a measure of, I think that's probably a large part of why the board have maybe took a different stance to Ange Postecoglou, maybe to other managers, is the fact that he hasn't lost the dressing room despite what we're going through. Conte, Jose, they did to a large extent. So I think you've got to give the guy credit in that regard. Just quickly though, guys, I do want to go around the houses before we get into team selection on how we think we're going to approach this, because I have let me get to the question here, because Postecoglou was asked about this. So Postecoglou was asked about this in the build-up in today's game, in the pre-match press conference, that how he's going to approach this game. Postecoglou then emphasized his philosophy of always trying to win the game. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to go out and play this attacking football, or it doesn't mean he's going to sit back. We don't know. He just said he's going to, as always, try and win the game of football. Given the 1-0 advantage from the first leg, do you think we will see a more cautious approach, or will Spurs look to attack Liverpool from the off at Anfield? Because his answer has left it open to interpretation either way. So, look, we'll start on you on this one, Jack, and we'll work our way around.
With the Ange's answers to like the tactics in the press conference, I'm not really taking any more, like sort of seriousness from it. Like, he's just playing with them at this stage. Like, they've asked so many stupid questions towards him, and honestly, so many provocative questions towards him that it just come with so much either sarcasm or just sort of like, underlayered, sort of subtext and everything, that I think he's now just playing games with the journalists. So it's hard to even know, like, if he's ever going to say anything actually authentic or serious again with what he actually might be doing. And with you kind of maybe suggesting what he might do for this game, Dave, when the members preview, I really liked with maybe your thought about it was perhaps if you did try to sort of meet Liverpool head to head, try to sort of meet them, with the Ange ball, pressing high up the pitch, win the ball high up the pitch, try to sort of meet them toe to toe energy wise. Just the momentum of that Anfield crowd, the expectation for them to try to get back into the game early. You just wonder if that could come back to haunt us, if that could come back to hurt us. Maybe we might have to go into the game. Not necessarily like we have to have the whole backline drop or anything like that, 20 yards, but we might need to go into the first 20, 30-ish minutes a bit more cautious in maybe certain areas, make sure that the midfield isn't wide open, have two players in there that can block up the areas, the central areas, make sure that Pedro Porro isn't, out of position constantly so that they don't just pin balls in behind him, and various other things, I think need to be sort of made secure for the first sort of, 20-ish minutes. And then from then on, maybe you can silence the crowd with, like I said, a few dangerous counterattacks, maybe even get lucky and one of them end up, sort of manifesting in a goal. But I think that's what you look to do. Maybe look to sort of not overexpress yourself in the first 20, try to get some dangerous counterattacks if you can, to sort of, make Liverpool a bit nervous and make the crowd nervous, see what you can do from there. I know that isn't the whole game plan for 90 minutes, but I think that first 20 to 30 is really important. And I really agreed with the point you made in the members preview.
No, I think it's absolutely huge. I think we should be taking a bit more of a cautious approach. Once you quieten down the crowd, then maybe try and use that to your advantage and go and hit them. But I do think we will play counter-attacking football. If you take your mind back to the first leg, we played more long balls in that game than we have ever under Ange Postecoglou. And I just wonder, are we going to see a similar approach? And were we working on that in the second half of the Brentford game? The way we defended there, the way Kinski was instructed to start going long with the ball. I just wonder, is that maybe an insight in how we're going to approach, especially the first half of this game? Soren, down to you. I mean, how do you think we're going to approach today's game?
I think we are going to have to play defensive, because I don't think we're going to have a choice. It's going to be one of those. We know Liverpool are going to come out and they're going to start fast. And I just see it very similar to probably the first game, where we'll have to defend a lot of the game. We will hopefully hit on the break, and we will probably have maybe 1, 2, 3 chances maximum tonight. I don't see it being an end-to-end game, because I think we don't really have the players to do that. And yeah, I mean, I think a few people in the chat have all said that, look, if we go toe-to-toe with them and it's one end to the other, it is suicidal tonight. It's one of those games where, and I think he's been doing it a couple, for the last couple of games, we've seen it a little bit more, where we've kind of sat back, whether it's because we've had to, or we've been forced to, or it's been gameplay. We've sat back and we've defended. And I see it where he'll pack the midfield out. He'll put it, he'll be quite defensive, and he'll be happy to hit them on the break. And look, there'll be no better way if they start attacking us left, right, and centre, and we go and score an early goal. That could really change the game plan, because then they know they've got to come out and attack us. And if we keep getting an odd break, it's going to really upset their game plan more than ours. So I think we'll be quite defensive, and I think it's going to be a very, very tough game. Spurs fans, they're going to come out of this with no fingernails, no toenails, no bloody fingers. Tortoises popping at the back end. There is going to be a lot of nerves tonight. There really is. But I just hope, the only thing that I really want tonight, doesn't matter what the result is, this team has to turn up. Because if we just go there and collapse from minute one, what a disaster that's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%. I mean, that's my biggest fear. What we can't do is concede an early goal. We have to avoid that at all costs. Because
it's not so much conceding any goal. It's as long as the team turn up.
Yeah.
Look, if we do concede an early goal, then as long as we don't deflate like we have done in the past, it's not, that's not the end of the world. We're still in the game. It's still only 1-1. The only thing that we don't want is to go out there and just not be in the game whatsoever.
Yeah. No, 100%. I fully agree on that. And even if we do concede a goal, I wonder, would it change our approach slightly? Instead of sitting back defensively, we would go to look to maybe hunt that extra goal. It'd be interesting to see what Postecoglou decides to do in that regard. But I do think avoiding that early goal is crucial, because then it's back to square one. And I just think the Liverpool crowd will get on top of it. And I worry for us in that situation. I mean, Donovan, surely it's inconceivable to think Ange Postecoglou is going to rock up here tonight and just play this attacking football.
High line. It's who we are, mate.
Surely we can't tonight.
He's going
in periods. I think we can, right, Donovan? But do you really think we'll start that way?
No. So really, the question we have to ask ourselves is this is the best team in the country, probably the best team maybe in world football right now. So it's how much of the ball are we going to have? They're going to really dictate how we play the game, right? So I alluded to back in the earlier, the 15-minute segments, if we can get the 15 minutes in our legs where we haven't conceded a goal and to get some more confidence, then we can take them for the full 90, right? It's like that first underweight card, the first guy in his first boxing match, get through that first round, get the gloves up, take those punches, learn how to go in, southpaw, front paw, know when to counter. We're going for a full 10 rounds here, right? So we get over that first little hurdle, that first 10, 15, get the confidence, kill the crowd. Then it's anyone's game. And that's when you said, Jack, then you can start pushing that press a little higher up. Then you can start pushing 10, 15 feet up. Then maybe you can start looking to play into the 6 instead of kicking it long. Then you can maybe start inverting maybe one of the fullbacks. Maybe Jed Spence goes on one of his runs. That being said, we could just score right off the bat. We could get an early goal like we did against City in the Cup, where it was a one-time ball up to the wing, flick it on. Kulu hits a one-timer into Werner, and then Werner finishes it off. Could be a repeat with Kulu flicking it on to Son, and Sonny could dictate this game. Sonny could roll back the years and be prime Sonaldo again, right? You don't know what's going to happen, right? But the main thing is we don't concede that first little bit here. So, of course, we're going to play Ange ball. And Ange ball isn't this stupid suicidal high line that's everybody's talking about, where it's gung-ho, no defensive bat and hatches. Ange ball just means constantly playing your philosophy under pressure. When everybody else says it's wrong, when everybody else is telling you not to do something, you're brave and you take things on, right? And that's why I think Bergvall and these young guys are going to have a big say in this game, because they don't feel that pressure. They're young, they're naive, and that's going to be their sword that they lean on today. Archie Gray is not going to worry about taking a touch under pressure in his own 18-yard box and playing that ball out. We've seen it so many times, and that's going to infect onto other people. So it's not being stupid and reckless with the ball. It's just being Ange ball and being brave and believing in your philosophy. We saw it in that first North London derby. It's glimpses there. We haven't even talked about James Maddison. Is he healthy? Is James Maddison healthy? Okay, that's a big loss. But players that are able to take that ball under pressure and turn, and players that are able to distribute, players like Bentancur, those players that are able to handle that pressure. Long story short, we're gonna play Ange ball, and it's whether we're right or wrong, man. So.
Well, look, let's wait and see. Like you said, he hasn't really cleared up what the game plan is tonight, so I find it very, very interesting. We are Spurs TV says, do you think Ange will invert both fullbacks? And then he says, Tel, look, we'll get on to Tel in a minute. But Jack, maybe you can help us answer this one. Spence and Porro are typically known for their attacking runs. But against Brentford, they played more like traditional fullbacks, focusing on containment rather than going forward. Given the threat that Liverpool do pose on either wing tonight, should we be instructing them to adapt, the same approach today, prioritizing defensive solidity over attacking duties, to answer We Are Spurs TV's question here?
I think maybe it lagged for me at the last sort of half of your question, Dave, but maybe just to answer the first part. I do feel like Porro could sort of he might not need to invert as much, because if you play Kulusevski on the right, Kulu will naturally want to cut inside. And then Kulu can offer maybe more of that sort of half space, in between, kind of the fullback and sort of the central midfield. And then Porro can make more overlapping runs, whip in the crosses that we know he's very dangerous at. You have someone like Richarlison who can feed on it, but then also Kulu, who he can give it to maybe go for more of an in-swinger type of cross, towards the back post. And then Jed Spence, maybe he can be a guy that can kind of cut more into the midfield. He's already right-footed anyway, so want to maybe go onto his right foot so he can kind of come a bit more inside, be that more inverted type fullback. And then also as well, Jed Spence might get away with that because he's kind of a bit more athletic, can get up and down a bit easier than Pedro Porro can, less likely to probably get caught out than Pedro Porro will too. So maybe again, Dave, sorry, I might have missed like the last part of your question. Did I answer?
Yeah, no, basically. So I was just basically saying, Jack, should they play similar to the way they did against Brentford, knowing the threat that Liverpool pose either side, right? The last thing you want is Porro bombing forward today, knowing that you're going to have Trent and Cody Gakpo or Diaz, flying down that side. Do you also want to take the risk instructing Jed Spence to get forward, knowing how quality Mo Salah can be if he's given that space and time? So for me, I sort of, I don't think we should be playing any sort of role. I think we should just play traditional fullbacks tonight. Worry about your defensive duties first. And I would say, if there's anyone maybe you would let go once or twice, I would pick Spence over Pedro Porro, purely because Spence can get back. Spence has the pace to be able to get back and cover that, and he's a much better defender than Porro. So even if he is, trying to get back on Mo Salah, I back him to make the tackle. Whereas Pedro Porro, I think you just got to say, you don't need to go forward. You've got that passing range. You can spray balls from back there and over the top. You don't need to take that risk in going forward. Plus, you've got Kulusevski up front now. I think a massive part of the reason why Porro was tasked to get so far forward is because Brennan Johnson couldn't bloody cross the ball. Porro had to go and do it. So I think now you've got Kulu there. Do you need Porro on them overlapping runs or coming up and crossing that ball? I don't think you do. I think you can just say to him, you've got the passing range. We'll use that today. Put balls in behind like you did in the first leg. And then just sit back, worry about your defensive duties. That's what I'll be doing today. We are Spurs TV. Let me know if you agree in the comments, my man. Big yourself up. Really appreciate the support. I think there's one more here as well from Daniel Larson. Big up, Danny boy. Hopefully you're keeping well, because I'm so nervous, but it feels good to be happy for once again, or good to be nervous.
Maybe good kind of nervous is what he means. Maybe like a positive kind of nerves. And I feel the same way, Daniel. If anything, I sort of feel the way I have in other maybe semifinals or other sort of cup finals, and they don't come often, for us as Spurs fans. So I just kind of get a little bit, I don't know, ignorant bliss or something like that, where you're just happy to be in it. You're happy to be in the big game. And then, you are nervous of, with every kick of the ball, every touch and everything like that. But it's kind of part of the fun, right? It's 10 times better than playing Tamworth or whatever. It's 10 times better than playing the likes of, I don't know, even the Brentford away game, as fun as it was to get a win like that. A game like this is just, it's what you live for and it's what you sign up for. So I'm looking forward to it, man.
No, 100%. Look, I'm really, really excited. And like I said, it's good to have these sort of games. This is what we're in football for. This is what we're in football for, the big moments, the big games. So I'm sick of sitting back on the telly watching teams have these moments. And I'm sitting there, when will Spurs get theirs again? Tonight's the night. Let's go and take it. Big up, Daniel, my man. Really appreciate the support. But look, guys, let's keep this moving. I mean, I do want to have a brief discussion quickly around the goalkeeper, because, look, it's a bit of a weird one, because you go back, you cast your mind back to social media a couple of weeks ago. There was videos of Pedro or Vicario, back in the gym doing work, and I believe he is back on the grass doing work and stuff. And, I was on Last Word on Spurs last night, and Ricky said this live on the show, that this was a game that Vicario targeted to make his return. Now, I must say, I did listen to the pre-match press conference. I didn't hear anything about it. But there's little murmurs going on that maybe he could make his return tonight. I mean, let's go around the panel. If let's on the presumption he is fit and he is available to go tonight, do we take that risk? Do we put him back in there, or do you trust Kinski to back up the clean sheet that he had in the first leg? I mean, Soren, we'll start with you.
We go back to, I think it was the Liverpool game or one of the others. It was, do we play Austin or do we play Kinski? And I said Austin. So now I'm going to go totally opposite, and Kinski has to start tonight.
Why?
Because Look, Vicario is a great keeper, don't get me wrong, and probably will come back to be the #1 goalie. But first game back, do you really change your goalkeeper when everything else is being changed left, right, and centre? We've got to keep some stability. And let's be honest, what has Kinski done wrong? He's not really done anything wrong. So to me, you play Kinski, he's probably slightly better with his feet.
Well, Jack thinks he's done some stuff wrong, actually.
Well, no,
Jack,
I mean, he has made an odd mistake. No, he has made an odd mistake, don't get me wrong, but he hasn't really, there's been no howlers. You know, he should have maybe done better here, or he maybe should have done, but when there's a cross coming in, he comes for the ball a lot more successfully than Vicario does. On a corner, he's not getting bullied. He's standing up to it a little bit more. His ball's out, and he's, you know, some of the passes have been bad, but so has Vicario's. But I just feel we've got to try and not change too much. We go back last season and the Fulham game, we changed 9 players. Look, we haven't got much choice this time, but if we play Danso in defence, to me, you still need that goalkeeper behind him that's played with some of the other players. For me, tonight is not the night you change it. It's like the Champions League final. We put Kane back in instead of Moura or whatever. To me, you just stick with those that have done it. I mean, it's a bit different if you've got a Van der Ven or a Romero. Probably bring them in. If you had a Harry Kane maybe up front, I get the change. But to me, it is not the night to change it. Sorry, I mean, no. Yeah, I just don't think Kinski has to start.
No, I think many people agree with you. Just quickly, Leighton, good to see you in. Hopefully you've got a smile on your face. Hopefully you've got that #1 Spurs fan foam finger I know you have kept in your house out for it tonight, my man. Good to see you in the building. Look, what I will say is it's a cup semi-final, my man. I mean, you got to put everything aside and go into it with hope and belief. You know, you just have to. Look, we're well aware. Look, I'm well aware, you know, I've been on all channels speaking about this. This is a big job today, you know. It's a huge ask, you know. We haven't won there since 2011, you know. I'm used to being beaten at Anfield. That's just the harsh truth of it. But it's a cup semi-final, man. You got to try and believe a little bit. So get that #1 Spurs foam finger out, Leighton, and let's happy clap.
I don't know, Dave. I was going to say, he sounds a bit kinder to us than usual. Maybe Leighton is happy clapping. I think he's feeling pretty positive, you know, tonight. Normally he slacks off a bit more.
What's the point in us, 4 of us sitting here, talking about the team that we love and saying, oh, yeah, we're going to lose tonight? What's the point in supporting your team, expecting to go and lose? We might lose. Fair enough. We are playing one of the best teams in Europe at the moment. But what is the point in supporting a team thinking you're going to lose every game? I don't get that mentality.
I think in Leighton language, that's a 3-0 win to the mighty Tottenham Hotspur, actually. I think he's just,
you know, he just
sort of hides. Yeah, exactly. He just sort of have to read behind you have to read behind the text there, you know, sometimes with Leighton.
Guys, Jack Donovan, do you want to have your say on the goalkeeper situation, or will we move it on?
I kind of agree with Soren as much as I would probably be super hyper critical as always with goalkeepers. I don't know if you can just throw Vic in straight away. I just don't know if he can. My only nerve, though, with Kinski is he has let in 2 goals that he should have saved already. And I wouldn't say that he's had a ton of shots he's had to deal with that are like necessarily required world-class saves or anything like that. I don't even think he's technically even made a world-class save yet. You know, it's I good thing he hasn't really, but he has, you know, technically had 2 big moments where I think he should have obviously saved it. And I think Vicario would have saved it 10 times out of 10. So that's my only worry. But apart from that, Kinski, I think better with his feet for the most part and much better from set pieces.
Fair enough.
I think I agree with everyone so far. I hold the viewpoint that like Kinski's already played against Liverpool this season. He knows what's up. Yeah. He knows what to expect. He's better at crosses and corners. And like, lads, we've been down this road before in a cup semi-final, where we've rushed a star player back that wasn't match fit, wasn't fully there, and we coasted the whole game, and he ghosted the whole game, and it was very sad to see. And the goalkeeper is such an integral part of the squad, right? And so we need somebody that's match fit. We need somebody who's been in the thick of it, who's taken a couple tumbles and whatnot, and like you know how dominant they are with the Virgil van Dijk coming in, flating the way he times his runs, and how even Jota can get up and get a good header in there, right? So it's like they're good at crossing. We know the delivery is always point. We always concede a crossing goal against Liverpool. So it's like they get that jostling, you know. We don't know if he's fully fit. He gets a weird knock, and then boom, one of our subs is gone. So we go with Kinski. The lad's proven himself. No howlers, but I feel like he could have done better on that low shot against Trossard. I think that you have to hope that he's learned from it, you know. But he's played in the Champions before, Kinski. He knows what's up, right? He's played Red Star Belgrade, man. They got some of the hostile fans there. It's like if you lose a game, like you gotta hide, you gotta like basically join the witness protection program at that level, but right?
Not that
like,
far east. He was at Slavia Prague. But,
yeah, you know what I'm trying to say,
almost
right? Like
almost that far.
Yeah, where it's like concrete post-apocalyptic wastelands over there. No disrespect.
Again, not that far east. Not that
far. Yeah.
Czechoslovakia or Czech Republic is quite a nice place. But
yeah,
but I know what you mean.
Yeah, let's stick with Kinski. There's no need to shop and change.
Prague is a lovely city.
Yeah, shout out Prague. By the way, if anyone's there. I didn't mean to offend anyone.
Right, well, let's move on from the goalkeeper situation, because I do have much more better talking points further up the field. Drew Zilla, come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. Let's go. He's absolutely pumped. Do you know what, Drew? I'm actually quite surprised you didn't book the afternoon off work. I think it's such a rookie error on your behalf. I think you need to try and get out of work early to get back and watch the game. But big up, Drew. Hopefully you're keeping well, my man, and good to see you. DB, I like this. He says, I don't like this nervous feeling, being more used to being a whiny moaner, which has sadly become my safe space. I think most of us are like that recently, DB. Hopefully we can just have a bit of joy tonight. Eh, my man? Good to see you. And then we've also got Just a Harmless Potato, and we're just going to get a quick round the house on this, just a yes or no answer. He says, should we bring on Vic for penalties at the end if he is fit and available? Soren says no. Jack?
No.
Donovan says no.
The only reason I'm saying no is because it ain't going that far. We'll have won before then.
Huh?
He's saying we already would have won.
Yeah, look, fair enough. Look, I don't know. I probably would make that change, to be honest with you. Just a harness potato. That's where I'm going with that. I probably would make that change, my man. But guys, let's get into it. I mean, centre back. I'm going to go on to Van de Ven and Romero in a minute, because I do have a quick question off that sidetracks us a little bit. But Ben Davies will likely play at centre back tonight, given that Postecoglou has said Van de Ven will play no part in tonight's game. So the big decision for Postecoglou is whether to stick with Archie Gray, who's been absolutely excellent, or throw in new signing Kevin Danso straight into the deep end, even though he hasn't played in, I think today will be approaching nearly 4 weeks. Let's go around the house. Let's see what people's preferences are. We'll start with you, Donovan.
Remember that clip of him taking the ball down, was off his chest and his knee, brings it down, does a pirouette, then an outside the foot pass that sends Kulusevski through against Liverpool at home there. Like, you gotta play Gray. Like, I haven't seen anybody that calm with the back since Jan Vertonghen. And I think we were spoiled when we realized how good Jan Vertonghen and Toby Alderweireld were playing out of the back. They had such a good touch. They were calm. They were just resolute. And we saw with the Dyer Sanchez era what it's like to have clowns at the back that are so panicked under pressure, so panicked, and nothing against Dragusin, but the levels in between Dragusin and Archie Gray when it comes to technical ability is crazy to see. And one's an experienced European player and one's an academy product. So Archie Gray is a baller. He's an absolute baller. Let's get him on the pitch. And those kind of players, Archie Gray in particular, like, we're going to need that at Anfield. We're going to need that, not necessarily Anfield, but just in a high-pressure environment when they're going to be pressing you for 80, 90 minutes, man. They're going to be unrelenting, you know? They've been coached by Jurgen Klopp for the last 7 seasons on this gegenpress. Arne Slot has come in there seamlessly because he plays a high-pressing football too at Feyenoord. So these players have been coached to press. They've got the minerals. They got the stamina and the endurance to do it. So having somebody like Archie Gray at the back that's calm and can take a touch and can basically hold it to the last possible moment, then make his play. We need the lad starting. He plays well beyond his years, and he's slowly becoming a fan favorite, let alone a club legend, and he's not even 20 yet. So I'm going with Archie Gray. That being said, Danzo's a beast, man. Like, he's physically there, he's got the physical frame, and he's a perfect player to bring on the end, the closer. The closer, you know, in football, you got special teams, you know, in hockey, you got the fourth line grinders that come out and put in a shift. You know, he'll come in and close when the time needs. And Ange came out, so I don't take all the talking points, but I know Ange had come out saying we have other games ahead of us. Get a couple minutes into him, and then put him up against Rashford. You know, put him up against Leon Bailey, right? That other backup striker they got there. You know, let him go against Aston Villa. That's his calling. For now, we know Archie Gray, and let's keep Archie Gray going. So Archie Gray for me.
No, look, do you know what? I'm sort of in agreement with that. First of all, big up, happy birthday, Elias Roti. People get in the chat, wish him a happy birthday. I sort of agree. For me, I would much rather Postecoglou actually stick with Archie Gray, a player who's helped get him here, a player who I don't think has, you know, done anything drastically wrong. You know, I think he's played better than most of the centre-backs we've had at Tottenham, actually, for about, you know, since maybe the Pochettino era. He's played it better than what Dyer has, Sanchez has, Dragusin has. And for me, I think all of a sudden, if you just take him out drastically as soon as you got a new shiny toy to play with, I think maybe do you lose Archie Gray to a certain degree? Do you have to do a lot to try and get him back on side? Because it's sort of like, oh, as soon as someone else comes in, you've just ejected me to the side. Look what I've done for you. So I do think if I'm Postecoglou, I probably would go personally with the players that's got me here tonight. But Soren Ben Mitchell says here, would love to see a way to get Gray as the six with Danso and Davies behind him. Now, look, I think maybe you could look to do that further down the line. I'm not sure tonight is the night to do it. But what do you agree with Donovan, or would you bring Danso straight into it?
Well, I've been having this conversation all day long.
In your own head?
Well, yeah, most of the time I'm with the dogs. And I am torn on this because, look, anybody that knows me knows how much I've bigged up Archie Gray. I think he's a fantastic player, and I don't know. I just do get the feeling that Danso will play tonight, and I think it'll be Danso and Davis. Would I put Archie Gray in number 6? In an ideal world, yes, but not tonight. I just think, as much as I've got confidence in him, I just think we kind of need the experience of probably Bissouma and Bentancur together. And look, Bissouma's been crap most of the season, but I don't know. I just feel he's probably the one to start with. Jed Spencer's got to certainly start at left back. So I kind of look, the only place I see Gray starting is at right back instead of Porro. And for me, Porro's probably got to start as well. So as much as I would sit here every other game and say Gray starts, maybe tonight is the one night you do put him on the bench and say to Bissouma and Bentancur, get out there, hold it, and then run yourself into the ground. We bring Gray on in that number 6 then. Look, I think it's one of these that if Gray starts with Davis, I'm happy. If Danso starts with Davis, I'm happy. I don't know whether I'd be quite as happy with Danso and Gray starting. So, yeah, look, I just think whoever he plays, whichever way he goes, we back it. So, you know.
No, look, I think, whatever way it goes, you know, I think many Spurs fans will probably get behind it. And look, I think many people, even if Danso does come in and Gray gets dropped, I think many people will feel for Archie Gray, but I think they'll also be excited in a way to see what Danso does. And look, maybe dropped is the wrong word there. Sorry, rested, because you've got to understand, Archie Gray, I think, has played nearly, 20 games on the bounce. He's been absolutely sensational. Rick in Brighton says, big up, lads. I think it'll be Gray at right back, Danso, Ben Davies, and Jed Spence. You know what? It's not really a question I had, actually, Rick, because for me, I just thought maybe it would be straightforward in terms of Porro right back, Spence left back, with Ben Davies left-sided centre-back, and then it's just really between Gray and Danso. But, I mean, Jack, do you think this is something we could end up seeing tonight? We could be sprung a surprise.
Well, Dave didn't really want, Rick, if you were listening earlier, Dave didn't really want sort of the fullbacks to get that far forward in this game, or he wanted them to be extra cautious. So if that's the case, I mean, Archie Gray, isn't maybe a bad option then, right? Archie Gray would be someone that you could trust to pick and choose when to get forward, to either help out, just to be there, to be an outlet in possession, just to be an open man, to pass to. But he would know, to track back, and he would know not to get caught out by Luis Diaz, maybe more so than Pedro Porro. Pedro Porro just naturally more attacking, naturally more inclined to get forward than maybe Archie Gray would. So it is a possibility if that's what you want, Dave. If you really do want those fullbacks to be disciplined, then Archie Gray kind of has to be considered then for the fullback role. My only thing is though for center back with Gray, I just feel like Ange has to reward a guy that's been one of his best players in the last 2 months or so. Archie Gray has been one of our more reliable players. He's been someone that's gotten us through a lot of these games. I know we've dropped a lot of points and we haven't played well in plenty of these games, but it's not been Archie Gray's fault. Archie Gray has been very, very consistent and has hardly made any mistakes really at all during that period. I mean, we've said he's even been better than Radu Dragusin, right? So I think Archie Gray deserves, to be honest, I think it's out of merit. Maybe that's too much sentimentality. I'm curious if people might, in the chat might disagree with me for that, by using sort of sentimental reasons. But I think you have to sort of think about the merit and the sentimental part of this. Like Gray has been very consistent for us, has hardly put a foot wrong. If he continues to play well, I think you have to play him for one of the biggest games of the season. And he's got us, to this biggest game of the season, to be fair to him. Just quickly, though, on Danso, he's a hilariously perfect replacement physically for Radu Dragusin. So if you did want someone to be that physical presence, to battle Van Dijk, battle Konate, in the air for set pieces, he is someone that would be just as good as Dragusin, if not better. So that is worth considering if you wanted a real man mountain, in the back line for a game like this. But that's why maybe Ange might hold off and, bring him on, see the game out, 75th minute, bring on Danso and, bring in the big guy to sort of clear away headers, almost like Ben Mee or something like that.
No, look, I think it's a very interesting choice. I think, you probably gain in set pieces, but then you maybe lacking that little bit of match sharpness where he can't get turned quickly and someone absolutely skins him, Look, I think Archie Gray played really well against Brentford, actually. I think he's reading the game, positioning, blocking the ball, heading the ball out. I thought he had a really good game. But look, it's interesting. We're only, I think probably 15 minutes away from the lineups, if not maybe sooner. So we'll find out very, very shortly. The Big D says, what's the crack, everyone? Hope everyone is in good form. Match day, smash them likes for an epic Spurs performance tonight. Really appreciate that, Big D. Look, I think we're all excited, nervous. I think our stomachs are probably doing somersaults as well at the same time. But look, this is what these big games are all about, right? And then we've got MJ Marcus says, Dave, Jack, Donovan, Soren, thank you for the high vibes you're passing on today. It would be very difficult, but if we lose, hope. And we do not believe nothing matters. Thanks for the amazing vibes. Come on, you Spurs. Look, for me, today, look, I do have my criticisms of the club. I have my criticisms of, the transfer window and stuff like that. But everybody's heard them. I'm not being funny. What good is that going to do heading into today's cup game? Absolutely nothing. There's no point in me banging on about it today. Today is all about the team. Today is all about Tottenham Hotspur in the semi-final. I've been through the shit. We spoke about the problems, ahead of Premier League games and other games. Today is not the day. Today is just to get behind the team, support, and let's see what we can do. If some people want to call that flip-flop, fine. That's your opinion. But at the end of the day, for me, what is me sitting here going to highlight all the club's problems going to do heading into this game? Absolutely zilch. Yeah, that's the reason behind it. But really appreciate the comment, my man. But look, let's keep it moving, guys, because Postecoglou does have a bit of a decision. Actually, no, sorry. Before we move on to that, just a quick side question. And I don't want to get caught up into it because the reality is I don't know. I don't know anything. But I'm just reading into it that Postecoglou has been insistent that Mickey van der Ven and Christian Romero aren't fully ready yet, despite returning to training and are being carefully managed. Now, do we think that there's more to this situation than what we're being told? And are you concerned about the lack of a specific return date for either player? Because when Postecoglou has been asked before, and managers usually get asked, they usually do give a time frame. And it's not like they haven't been out long enough for us to not have a time frame on their return. So is there maybe a concern we're not being told the full story around these two right now? Yeah, I don't want to get bogged down on this. Again, it's a bit conspiratorial, but I've just maybe I'm reading into it too much. But let's have people's thoughts.
Can I throw just a quick conspiracy on yours? On your conspiracy, Dave? What if maybe Ange, knowing that this is one of the biggest games of the season, is thinking about not
No,
being very
don't do it.
transparent about the injury status, so that maybe he could perhaps
Like the
unveil
Chelsea
a
game?
Van de Ven. Yeah, like the Chelsea game. Maybe he might unveil a Van de Ven, or might. I don't think Romero would be unveiled. I think that maybe it'd be a bit too far. That would be very crazy if he were to do that. But yeah, I'm wondering if that's a possibility. Knowing that he did say, like, he pretty much canceled the fact that Van de Ven's out for the season. He pretty much sort of said, that's not the case. So maybe he might sort of be throwing Arne Slot a curveball.
Yeah, I don't want to be a downer, Debbie Downer, but I just heard that they didn't travel, they didn't get on the bus. So that's whatever you want to take of that.
So there goes Jack's theory.
Himself.
At the same time, though,
in there, Donovan, and not let him get
He's
it out.
in the mindset. He's putting on the tunes. He's driving himself.
Just to throw another curveball in there, Donovan. The reason he didn't get on the bus is because his run to Liverpool.
He's already there.
Just to get his hamstrings warmed up.
He's already there.
You arrived a day early.
Oh, sorry about that, Jack. Let you run ahead so I can kick your legs out. Hey, no,
that's okay.
See, I don't want to be a downer here, but like I have my own conspiracy with Romero. I feel I don't want to say it, but it would be. I'm just gonna say it. Like, did we lose him? Did we lose Romero? And I don't mean lose Romero in the fact that
you're talking about longer term sense, right? In terms of he's on his way out of the club.
Yeah, mentally. Like I'm almost wondering that, like, if it was too much for him, because we know how much he fell out with Conte. We know he was on the tipping point before Conte. We know he gave Ange a try. We know how well he was, and like he just won a World Cup. Like injuries do crazy things to your mentality, where it's like you start questioning like how many years you have left. You start questioning like, is it worth it? Like what is it, 3 injuries in one season? Like, is it really worth me putting myself on this line for this high line that may or may not work when we're sitting 18th and 17th, 16th in the Premier League? And where I could just be playing comfortable possession-based football in Madrid or for Atletico, because let's be real, if Romero were to put in a transfer request, he could go to any club. He'd have his pick of clubs, right? It doesn't have to be Real Madrid. It could be anywhere, right? He could go play for Turin. He could go back to Juventus, right? He's probably got the Don Paratici in his phone book, right? He can probably just dial him up and be like, hey, man, get me a club, right? And then it would be good for Tottenham, where we'd get a good transfer fee, and it'd be good for Romero. So I'm almost wondering if and Romero has honor. Like, he does love Tottenham. He does love us. He puts in a scholarship for us. So I'm almost wondering if it's like, hey man, pull me out of the firing line. Say I'm injured. Like we gave Ange a try. I'm not going to be a toxic team. I'm not going to be a toxic teammate. I'm just going to like remove myself. And I'm almost wondering if Van de Ven's done for the season, where it's like in the NHL, where it's like if you have a recurring injury, you can go on what's like an injured roster. It's called an injured roster. You still get your salary, but you don't affect the first team roster space. And I'm almost wondering if Van de Ven is just like, you know what? Let's park the bus. Let's bring them the horse for the race, and let's get you properly treated. Let's get you your surgery. Let's do what most of we did to Udoji, last season, and let's get this properly sorted. So you can play multiple games without breaking down, right? You can go a longevity of a season. You can enter full sprint without having to think second twice about your hamstring, because when you start thinking, that's when you also injure yourself too. Like when you hesitate yourself, when you don't let your muscles fully release and engage, then you can risk injury too. So I'm almost wondering if we lost Romero to this project, and if just holding back Van de Ven, and we're just holding back Van de Ven for the rest of the season for his own good. So that's not on the one fan show, Dave, I came on saying how this whole 16th place has kind of reframed my mindset, where it's like you can't happy clap and you can be positive, but you have to look at realism here, and you have to look at everything from all angles, and not just me critically thinking it. It might be me overthinking it. It might be me blowing smoke up someone's ass, and the next thing you know, they're both on a team sheet. Like maybe something is happening here, because all it is speculation online that they didn't travel. It's no confirmed Paul O'Keefe or Alistair Gold or anything. It's just people putting online on Twitter and stuff. But yeah, I think there's more going on.
Look, the thing is, like, I have heard people sort of saying around similar. I've also heard people, and someone put it in the chat there, we haven't seen him since he spoke out as well. There's lots of different sort of theories flying around. Sorry, sir, and I rudely cut across you, my man. Got to respect the
so taking from all that chat for the last 5 minutes, so basically Romero and Van de Ven are starting tonight then?
Yeah. Confirmed. It's confirmed.
Bomb.
Everybody do listen to
Vicario in the nets and Solanke up front.
Do listen to Drew, though, everybody. Over 700 in the house pretty consistently, though, throughout the stream. So smash the like button, please. Only 250 have liked it, so it's not even close to 50%. And I'd like to think that maybe on a semifinal, maybe 50% of the people in here have enjoyed the stream. So please, everybody, do so. Listen to Drewzilla. Don't listen to Dave or I anymore. Just listen to yourselves. Listen to your fellow Spurs fans in the chat, and listen to Drew, please.
Just on the Van de Ven one, I just wonder, when does it come to a point where they just don't know what the right course of action is? A bit like Ryan Sessegnon, right? How many times was he pulling his hamstring, doing the same injury? And, he'd be back training, but, you'd see him come back, then all of a sudden he'd feel something, he's gone again. I just wonder, are we entering the same realms with Mickey Van de Ven in terms of that, where you're at the point where no one really knows what the correct way forward is, really. Something interesting to think about, maybe speak about on another day. Maybe we're bringing the vibes down here a little. Sorry about that, guys, but, it's been a huge stress of mine all week. Dolby Skills, the Spurs are on their way to Wembley. Come on, you Spurs. Let's go. Absolutely love that. Dolby Skills, good to see you, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well, or lady, I don't know, but big yourself up. Really appreciate the support. We've also got Eugene. You never got back to me. You're supposed to get back to me, my man. Big up. Good to see you. Hopefully you're keeping well.
Legend.
We've also got Rick Dell, great NHL analogy. Do we ever see Romero on the sidelines? I don't think so. theirishyid says big up to all. Come on, you Spurs. Great to see you. Guys, let's move quickly into the midfield and let's have a conversation around there. Postecoglou's got a big decision to make in midfield. You've got Lucas Bergvall, who's fit and available, and the hero from the return leg, Papa Mathys Tel, has that goal-scoring ability from midfield, proved it against Brentford. Then, obviously, you've got Rodrigo Bentancur and Yves Bissouma. And I'm going to throw this out there around Yves Bissouma. I don't trust him in big, high-stake games like tonight. I just don't. You go back to the Chelsea game, gave away a penalty. You go back to the North London Derby, got dispossessed. That led to a goal. I know he's had some good games, your Man City, and that Liverpool game in the first leg, but he took early yellow cards, and it always just seems like he makes people nervous. And for me, I don't trust him. But he's one of the more experienced players. So, look, we'll start with you, Søren. I mean, what's your midfield makeup for today's game?
Going back to what I said earlier, this is, it's a hard one for me, because as much as I would like to see that back four comprising of Danso and Gray, Davis, and play Gray as the holding six, I just don't know whether tonight's the night we look to see it first time that he can do it. It's one of those that I have no doubts that he can do it, and I have no doubts that he will be probably our holding player for years to come. I don't know. I just feel that Bissouma owes us big time, and that experience for him to be in there along with Bentancur is probably the better way to go. Do we play Pape Sarr? Look, I love Pape Sarr. I think he's a fantastic player. And again, he's a big one for the future. But if we play Pape Sarr, we don't play Bergvall. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I think Ange has
Is there a case Kulu comes into that factor, right?
Pardon?
Is there a case Kulu comes into that midfield even?
Well, there is, but then it's who do you play on the right?
What would you like to see in the midfield?
For me, a perfect scenario would be Bissouma, Bentancur, and Bergvall. And I just think we drop Gray. And look, I agree with everything that we said earlier. That how can you drop Gray, because he's been fantastic and he has been fantastic, and I don't really want to drop him. I would love it for Ange to say, right, you're in midfield with maybe Bentancur. I just think, has Bissouma got a little bit more pace than Gray, possibly? If Gray starts as that number 6, fantastic, brilliant. I'm over the moon. If he doesn't, I'm not too worried. So I think the midfield is probably the biggest question out of everywhere on the pitch. I really do. And I just think it's one of those that we wait to see, because we can all sit here and speculate loads of different ways.
Yeah.
There are going to be 2 players not happy with not starting tonight in midfield. So which 2 it is, I don't know.
No, look, I think it's a huge decision for Postecoglou, because if you get the dynamics in there wrong, it's going to come back and bite you. You sort of leave yourself open or exposed, regardless of what system you're trying to play. But also, if you go with the wrong players who maybe might panic in this situation, could pick up a red card or something like that and sort of go and cost you. So I think it's absolutely hugely important that Postecoglou picks the right dynamics in that midfield. Paolo Maratti gets back and he says, Dave, while I've a champion slating Biss errors in big games, he makes mistakes when he's the number 6. With Bentancur available, I trust him more when Bentancur is his partner. And you know, I absolutely agree with that, actually, Paolo. It's something that I've been saying myself recently. You know, I do think he plays a lot better with Bentancur beside him, because Bentancur actually takes on a lot of that responsibility, which actually leaves Yves Bissouma a bit more free. And I think we've seen that against Brentford, actually. This is where I was saying it after the Brentford game. It leaves Bissouma to roam around that midfield and sort of just be quietly effective, where the breaking balls he just picks up, keeps it moving. So I actually agree with you on that one, actually, Paolo Maratti. Big yourself up, my man. We've also got Breezy Gas in the house. Big up, Breezy Gas. He says, keep up the good vibes, guys. Who do you think should take our penalties if it gets to that? Look, I think safe to say, I think Son's got to take one, but will he be on the pitch after 120 minutes? We don't know. I think Kulu would probably step up and take one. I think Richarlison will probably put his hands up regardless whether he's good enough or not.
Kinski.
Pat Matasar.
Papa Matasar, maybe. I think Porro would definitely be one, that's for sure.
Porro definitely takes one.
I don't know. It's a hard one, Breezy Gas. To be honest, we haven't seen this team in a penalty shootout yet, so it's really hard to know. I'm just sort of basing it off who I think would be confident to step up, and I think that would be Porro, Son, Richarlison, whether he should take one or not. I think Bentancur would be confident enough. I'd be surprised if he wasn't. And I do think Spence would put his hand up. I think that's probably the 5, Breezy Gas. Jack, let's get your 5 on this, man.
I agree with some of those. I would throw Sarr in there. I do think just because Sarr, I don't know, he's played for Senegal. And if you've ever watched, sometimes Africa Cup of Nations games, it feels like they always end up in penalties and 0-0s and stuff like that. So I wonder if Sarr's been in a few penalty shootouts before. And I would go Sarr, Spence, I like that shout, Pedro Porro, Son. Dare I say Mathys Tel, if he's actually on the pitch, maybe if he doesn't start the game, Mathys Tel might actually come on, later in the game, and then he might be a penalty taker. And I would throw Kulu and Bentancur into the ring as well. And I agree, Dave. Richarlison might be worth confidence goes a long way with penalties, regardless of whether you think he'd strike the ball cleanly or not. So I think you do throw Richarlison in the mix.
Look, I'm just saying he's going to be that type of guy where he'll stick his hand up and say, yeah, I'm taking it. I think many Spurs fans will break their TV the minute they see him walking up to that penalty or turn it off. But I'm just putting it out there. I think he's going to do that. Now, that's the problem. He is liable to try something like that and mess it up. But good.
He won't be on the pitch.
Maybe
he won't be on the pitch by the time penalties come. He'll start the game and he'll come off 60, 70 minutes in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
I think that's when we'll see Tel. I think Richie will start and Tel will come on in place of him.
I think that is something that we are more likely to see today. I fully agree with you. I think in terms of defensive and battling qualities, I think you've got to look to use that out of Richarlison for the first 60, 70 odd minutes and then get Tel on. I definitely agree. Big up the Owl Lab, by the way. Good to see you. Hopefully you enjoyed your dinner. Nice, healthy dinner today. He says the bookies have got it wrong tonight. For me, it's a 2-2 draw. Spurs are on their way to Wembley. Come on, you Spurs. Why don't you, send Neve down, get her to stick a sneaky $5 on it, and you earn yourself a nice takeaway by the time the game's over tonight. Big yourself up and big up my mother. I know she's watching today. Hopefully she's a Spurs fan today. We need all the support we can get. But Donovan, Jack, let's go to you, my man. Midfield tree. What midfield tree would you like to see today?
By the way, everybody, I am not seeing any lineups on the Spurs website. I'm also checking kind of some of the Spurs aggregators.
Maybe it's only an hour with the Carabao Cup.
And I'm also checking the aggregator pages because, as you've seen before, sometimes, Dave, they get it a little bit earlier than even the Spurs lineup do. But I'm sorry, Dave, you saying what sort of substitutions you think?
No,
Ange
what
makes?
midfield three would
Sorry.
you like to see take the pitch today from the off?
Yeah, Bentancur, obviously. I would go for Sarr. I just with Basuma, I think Ange will probably go on Basuma, regardless of what I think. I think he will trust Basuma. I think
Yeah.
Basuma is a bit in that Brennan Johnson category, Dave, and Timo Werner category, where I think Ange almost seems to have a softer spot for Basuma, a softer spot for Johnson and Werner than he even does for other players in the team. And I think he will go with Basuma. Also, technically, he has experience. It's just we've said this time and time before. I don't need to rant too long about it. It's just various things Basuma does do make me nervous, and I do think he's far more prone to a mistake than any other midfielder really in that team. I think more than even Mathys Tel is really. And I would personally go for Bentancur, Sarr, because Sarr seems to play well in big games, and he's also physically up for the challenge in big games. You've seen before, Dave, like, he's stiff arming people, he's like sticking his arm in their faces. He's, able to get up and down, he's willing to throw his shoulder into somebody. He's a very physical guy, despite having that sort of wiry frame. He really does enjoy, I think, these contests, these more physical type of games. So I think you have to have him on the pitch personally. And then I'd go for Bergvall, because Bergvall, for me, offers just, I know your midfield, Dave, was Bentancur, Basuma, and Sarr. I understood what you were saying with that, but I just feel like with Bergvall,
I've just gone for a wrecking ball. That's what I went for. A wrecking ball with using Sarr to get up and go forward and maybe nab a goal. That was my whole thinking behind it, Jack.
It makes a lot of sense to me. And I would go for Bergvall only because if you can get some creativity in that first 45 to maybe 60 minutes, Bergvall could offer that. I would probably rather, just me personally, my taste is I would rather bring on someone like a Basuma to see out the game, maybe keep Sarr on the pitch, bring on someone like a Basuma to sort of give a little bit of relief to the midfield physically, and then take off someone like a Bergvall, who probably would start tiring at that stage. But I would like to have some sort of quality creative midfielder in the team to begin things.
Do you know what? My just quickly before we go to Donovan, my thinking maybe behind, Bergvall was he was very lucky to be on the pitch for that winner. He made some sort of erratic, rash challenges, and I just think away at Anfield, I think the referee will look to give early yellow cards, to give the game every chance to sort of flow, so that players aren't making these challenges, pulling people down, which is ironic considering we never get that grace when we're playing. But I just think, can you afford to take that risk with Lucas Bergvall tonight? And I'm just not quite so sure I would feel comfortable taking it. And that's why I went with the wrecking ball of Bentancur, Basuma, and Sarr. Just get around, break up their playing in possession. If you can't, punt it between the lines and let's break. Andrew Elvin says, hello, lads. I love spending pre-match with you. Come on, you Spurs. I think we will win 2-1 and 3-1 on aggregate. Really appreciate that, Mama. Thank you very much. Look, I enjoy doing these pre-matches because, to be honest, if not, I'd only be sitting there waffling the ears off the missus, the wall, or my father. So I said, why not? Let's expand the conversation, let other people in on it. So I appreciate it, Andrew, on that regard. And just while we've got over 700 in-house, just a quick plug on something as well. I did bring on an Irish football expert to have a little chat about Tottenham's new signing, Mason Meslier, who will be joining in 2026 in January. So if anyone wants to know a little bit more on the inside scoop on that, make sure you get over and check that out. It is on the channel. Cheeky little plug there. But down to you, Donovan. Donovan, what's your midfield makeup for today's game?
Basuma in the 8, Bentancur in the 6, Kulusevski as the 10, and that frees up the wing for a young academy prospect that's going to play his heart out for Tottenham Hotspur, and that's the kind of player you need in this big environment. Someone who's going to die for the badge, and he's been waiting his whole life to play in this kind of game. So yeah,
throw Mikey Moore in.
Yeah, I know we're not talking about forwards, but it just hit me that I was looking at the players available. And I'm like, yo, Mikey Moore's such a.
Would you do Tel on the wing? I know King Hoddle said he would go Kulusevski in the middle, and then he'd start Mathys Tel, put Son on the right, Mathys Tel on the left, and then go for Charleston through the middle.
I mean, you could do that too. Like, you could do that. Obviously, Richie and Sonny are the givens, but like, either Mikey Moore's going to play a huge part of this game. Either he's going to come off the bench and be that impact sub who's going to drive at his players and drive in. But we've seen what a good cross Mikey Moore has. He can turn it and put it on both feet. And Charleston, like, 3 of those crosses out of the 2 goals were absolute peaches. Like, that's Pedro Porro like crossing, right? And maybe they're starting to implement Pedro Porro's technique in the academy or at their training facility because he's got such world-class ability at delivering the ball in the box. But it's just for that mental aspect, Jack, of like, he's an academy product, bro. He grew up, like, he's 8 years old. He joined the academy, right? He's like, that's a story. We saw the power of the academy getting us over the line. in the Europa League. Sure, that's the lesser opposition, but we saw the fight and the hunger that didn't exist with the main first team players that were there being the big bucks. So these youngsters, they bleed and die Tottenham. And that's the kind of stuff you need to bring out in Anfield. That's the kind of stuff that's going to get you over the line in these hostile places. That young, raw firecracker. So yeah, and plus Kulu's better in the middle. Kulu's way better in the middle, man. Like, he can take the challenges, he can turn, he can pivot with the ball, he gets stuck in. He's almost ineffective on the wing. Yeah, so we'll put Kulu in the middle there. But Basuma is obviously the odd man out here. Like, Basuma is Basuma, right? So I'm hoping with Badiker as a 6 that releases him a bit more. I just don't want to see him jogging back. I don't like players that drop their shorts like they're playing basketball and they just kind of like trot around like a show pony. No, man. Like, put in the hard yards, put in the work, man. I'd kill myself every week for $70,000 a week just to run. Go. So, yeah, we need a Basuma that's fighting today. So, but we're gonna find out here in 5 minutes anyway. So,
5 minutes out from the lineups was definitely exciting. Let's see if there's any surprises in it. THFC till I die. Big up Dermatron says just home, ready for the game. I'm going for a 3-0 win. Come on, you Spurs. I mean,
conservative.
It is conservative for Dermot, but I'd also say it's probably gone beyond the delusion scale. It's probably gone over the edge of it, to be quite frank. With Dermot, you do know, Dermot, we haven't won up in Anfield since 2011, and you're going with a 3-0 win tonight. I mean, look, I'm all for achieving the impossible, but I'm not sure that's going to happen tonight. Hopefully they didn't give you any severe medication at that hospital that's leading to this prediction, my man. But big up, Dermot. Good to see you in the house. And as you can see, he's absolutely pumped. And you have been missed today, Dermot. I do miss your enthusiasm and your excitement for the games, brother. Big yourself up. Good to see you.
We tried our best to happy clap and sort of give the delusional, sort of opinions every now and again in your absence, Tron, in your absence.
And like I said, happy belated birthday, my man. Everyone, please get in there. Dermot's been I think he's actually been to everyone bar this one in terms of the pre-match build-up. So guys, please get in there. Make sure you give him a happy birthday. You know exactly who he is. Big up, Dermo. We got Danny Darko in the house, says, loving the pre-match. Great chat as always. Big up to the panel and true Lily White fans. Likes people. Big up, Danny Darko. Danny, what's your victory meal tonight? If we end up winning tonight, you know the rules. You got to let me know. Stefan Blois says, beers out. Doritos on the side. Let's go. I'm going 2-1 Spurs. Just quickly on Doritos, and I know some people look at it and go, David's Doritos, it's simple. Look, I like all three flavors. I love the cheese flavor, love the cool original, and I actually like the chili heat wave. So it sort of depends on the day and the mood, and maybe also the time of the year, which one I'm actually going to go for. However, I do think you need to have the sour cream and the chili dip on the side to go with them. So hopefully you've got the full array there, Stefan Blois. And now you can see, guys, what takes up my mind most of the day in terms of food. Most people just go, David's Doritos, it's simple, but there's too much more to that than me. Kerry King says, just finished work right now. What are we drinking? Right now, just water out of my Spurs water bottle, to be quite frank. But, come to watch along, I probably will have a nice glass of ice-cold Coke with me. Big up, Kerry King. Drew, what's that special bottle you had?
No, it's just a few samples that we've pulled from cask
okay,
to see what the next bottle is going to be that we release. So there's a few drams already been drunk, and there'll be a few more coming up soon.
I love that. Jack, what's your choice of drink for the game?
Geez, if we're like 3-0 up in a Dermatron prediction, I'll probably, just storm across the street, and get the beers in already, and just hopefully the stream doesn't crash, in my absence for a couple of minutes. But I'm going to try to be a good boy, Dave, because usually after a big win or loss, I usually just kind of just enjoy going on a nice long walk, doing a workout or something like that. Because usually it's still early enough in the day that, I would really need for it to be a big win for me to want to crack open something that early. But I'll be thinking about it. If we get a 3-0 win, I'll be thinking about it. Beers for me, though, as always, Kerry. Beers for me.
Quickly just say I'm pretty pissed off with Dermo. 3-0. That's as good as you can do. Come on, man. We were expecting at least a 5 or 6-0 from you tonight. And I think that's pretty shocking that you're only going 3-0.
Yeah,
you've really let the team down.
It's a basic
really let us down. We'll have to bench him now at the weekend for that. So we will. Big up Dermo. Just quickly, Donovan, we didn't get your drink. What's your drink for today?
Oh, I already had my Red Bull. It was good.
Oh
Probably.
yeah,
we've
Red Bull,
already-
yeah, I forgot.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
once those nerves hit, I'm going to be bouncing off the wall. No, just a quick shout out, man. I'm 10-1 odds here in Canada for a straight up Tottenham win. So I'll put a cheeky 10 on that.
Nice.
And then maybe after I'll have some pieces of chicken and some nice roasted pepper hummus and maybe some celery sticks on the side. Keep it nice and lean. I'm in business mode now. 7 weeks till my summer season starts. So I'm locked in there. So
Nice.
Love it.
Nice.
Love it.
Nice. He's gone for the Jamie Vardy diet. DB says, do you go bareback or melt some cheese on them, Dave? Do you know what? The missus does like putting a bit of cheese on them. I've never really, do you know what? A bit like nachos. I get what you mean. No, I'm more of a barebacker, to be quite frank, DB. I take all the risk. I just go raw. Ellie in Vegas says, big up crew watching you from Vegas. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Ellie. Hopefully you're enjoying yourself over there in LA. Staying safe as well, if that's where the
I think she,
fires were.
oftentimes I feel like she's in an airport, when she sort of chimes in or something like that. So let us know if you having a few airport beers.
Next.
few airport beers during the game.
There, S. Fasir says, good evening, lads. Good to see you. Connor says, cheers for that, Dave. You're welcome. Robert Clappin says, Victorian bitter.
Mm.
And DB says, Dermot, you're so negative. Absolutely love that. Guys, the lineup's out yet. I think we're just about a minute away. The lineup should be out with us any second. Soren, we are going to be wrapping up. Don't worry about that, my man. We're just waiting for the lineups to come out. We'll get everyone's quick thoughts, and then we will end off. Shamu's gone 3-0 today. Absolutely love that. Roy Parker's gone with a 2-1. Absolutely brilliant, guys. We are just waiting for the lineups to come out. So look, let's pose a quick question to you, Drew, just until the lineups come out.
Mathys not out yet, but I'm doing it nice and early. Sorry, just putting the tab in nice and early.
No, you're all right. Drew, do you start Mathys Tel today? Oh, sorry, fucking hell. I can't hear you.
I think you're on. I think you're on mute there.
No, for me, we don't start him. I think he probably comes on 60, 70 minutes. Now you're going to tell me he's already starting, aren't you?
Well, he is not. Here we have it, everybody.
Danso
we have Kinski in goals. Gray in the team. Danso makes the team. Davies makes the team. Spence makes the team. No Pedro Porro. He's been dropped. It looks like, who was that? Rick. Yeah, Rick and Brighton has gotten his lineup. Or Dave, maybe he's gotten also maybe something there. Bentancur in the midfield. Basuma there. Sar. So that's your midfield that you wanted, Dave. The Kulusevski on the right, Richarlison down the middle, Son on the left. What I find funny about the starting lineup is I think various people have gotten some version of maybe what they really wanted actually in the starting team. I find that interesting. And then we have on the bench Brandon Austin, Pedro Porro, Sergi Reguilon, and then Bergval Ajayi, who would know, maybe he could come on again. Casanova, Olasesi, Mikey Moore, and then Mathys Tel makes the bench as well.
Very, very interesting. Yeah, everyone's saying, Dave, you got your midfield. Yeah, I did get the midfield I wanted. Look, I wasn't too far wrong on the predicted lineup. I'm actually very shocked about the Pedro Porro one. I know he's played the most minutes for Tottenham, but does it maybe scream that Postecoglou doesn't trust him defensively? And how does Pedro Porro maybe react to this one? Because I think it's an absolute huge call in the context of today's game. Look, Soren, we'll start with you and we'll let you get out of here, my man. What's your thoughts on the lineup and what's your score prediction heading into this big fucking game? Come on!
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I kind of said earlier that Gray maybe instead of Porro, but wasn't kind of expecting it. And I do think Gray's probably a little bit more defensive than Porro will be. So, look, it's a big game. We're going to do it. I could see a 2-2 will do me. 2-2, 1-1, 2-1. I'm not bothered as long as we get through to the final. It's irrelevant tonight what the score is. But seeing as Dermo couldn't do it and he sat on the fence and splintered his ass, I'm going to go with a 5-0. Why not? We go big or go home.
Oh, absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. Soren, I want to say a massive thank you to you, my man. I know you're going through hard times at the minute, and I really appreciate you keep making time and yourself available to come on and do this. And I hope that we can provide you maybe a little bit of respite during the week by doing this. So thank you very much, and I hope we get the job done for you tonight, my man. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, then. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you
Come on,
Spurs.
you Spurs.
Thank
Big
you,
up
Soren.
Absolute legend. We have to let Soren go. He's a busy man. He needs to head off. But we will be ending off very, very shortly. So keep getting your thoughts in on the predicted lineup, and we will be back. Or on the lineup, sorry, not predicted, on the real lineup. And we will be back here for the watch along at 1:30. Donovan, let's get your quick thoughts in on the lineup. Pedro Porro drop. You surprised?
Yeah, I am. But I think Ange learning. You know, he's a man learning on a job. He's playing at this level. He's learning that Liverpool have hit us twice with long balls over the counter. They do this thing where they absorb the play and then they have an out ball. And they've targeted Porro the last 3 times we played them. So this is a good move by Ange. Only thing I worry about is Archie Gray's pace, and Diaz is a tricky customer. That being said, he did adjust to Manchester City's pace on the wing, where he was cooked for the first 20 minutes, but then he learned and he dropped back 5 yards and he kept him in his pocket for the rest of the game. So Danso, big shout. I was going to start him. You know he's going to want to have a good debut. Let's tap into that energy. Let's tap into that mindset. We're hungry. Let's eat. The midfield. Wow. No creativity, but that's okay because we don't need to create. We've already got a goal. So
you just need Sarr on the breakaway, Donovan, like my particular lineup. You know, you just need Sarr to break away and bury one.
It's like exactly what you said there, Dave. Like it's almost like Ange has been copying my workout regime. Legs. That's what we got. That's what we have in this. That's what we have in the midfield today is legs, selfless running. And honestly, that bench is starting to look a lot better. Now that we know what Ajayi can bring, and we know what Moore is going to bring off the bench. We got Ulisesi on the bench, Tel. Those are 4 pacey youngsters. Tel's arguably one of the best generational talents when it comes to academy products in the world. And we have Postman Porro, who delivers UK wide on the bench. We come off and spray a pass at the end. I'm going for a 2-0 victory. We're going to keep that clean sheet. We're going to get an early goal. It's going to rattle them. Then we're going to absorb 80 minutes of pressure, and then we're going to hit them on a counter. And sure, let's give Sarr another breakaway goal there. Up the lads, up the Spurs, and come on, let's do this.
Donovan, again, my man, thank you very, very much for making yourself available for this one. Really do appreciate it, brother. And again, hopefully we can get the win tonight. But guys, absolutely big cause from Postecoglou. Big cause equals big balls. Dropping Pedro Porro is a huge one. Bringing Danso in is a huge one tonight. Let's see how it pans out. Dark Zone G says, happy to see Danso start. Also, Liverpool using Kelleher. Maybe they're hoping it goes to penalties. And I will tell you, Kelleher is a very, very good penalty stopper. He's won against Liverpool in terms of penalty shootouts like that. But shots outside the box, he is a bit suspect. He has been from the Republic of Ireland, and maybe that's where someone like Son or someone like Sarr comes into action today. You know, I would be testing him from distance. Watching the Republic of Ireland, a lot of the goals we conceded last year were from all outside the box, and he was in goals, and some of them he should have saved. So I think there's a real opportunity there. And then he also comes in and says, Liverpool front 3, Nunes, Gakpo, and Salah. McAllister is a sub. So they're going for it. You know, they're going to put Nunes in the middle, try and cause a lot of chaos. You know, run the legs off Ben Davies and Danso, and then Gakpo and Salah out wide. We need a massive game from Jed's bench today. Archie Gray, it's a big call. Let's see how he does at fullback. I'll argue when he's played at fullback, maybe the ball's in behind. He's been a bit suspect, but the line isn't as high. So let's see how he copes today. But it's a big day for you in your household, by the way. I haven't forgot your father's a Liverpool fan. You're a Tottenham fan. Either way, one of you are going to be absolutely delighted this evening, Dark Zone G. Jack, anything you want to say, Dark Zone G, before we end off?
Dark Sun G Derby. I'm looking forward to this one. Probably the biggest Dark Sun G Derby we've had yet, in the household. So I'm looking forward to how it ends for you, my man. And hopefully we get to celebrate it all through pretty much the months. It's the biggest game of the season. We've all been building up to this one. Like I said, I wish maybe we had, a few more options available, but it doesn't matter now. We're only a few minutes away from kickoff. It's going to be a ton of fun, man. It's going to be a ton of fun. It's what we live for. Last season, we had, like I said, these Brentford away games, that we always had to sort of build ourselves up for. These are the real games. These are the ones that we're looking forward to. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I'm happy that Ange has actually, funny enough, Dark Sun G, gone for some version of a lineup that maybe people did want to see Danso start, but wanted to see Pedro Porro drop. There were some people that wanted to see Kulu on the right, and they wanted to see a robust midfield like what Dave was going for. I'm actually pretty impressed by Ange, sort of in a way, I think, satisfying maybe a lot of people's maybe requests or whatever preferences, if you call it, for the starting lineup. So fair play to Ange. And listen, I mean, Liverpool's front three, they're probably the most dangerous in Europe, if not, in the Premier League, at least right now. We're just going to see what we can do, man. And it's just going to take a real warrior-like performance from everybody involved. But that's what we're up for, and it's what we're looking forward to see. So biggest Dark Sun G derby yet. Look forward to it, man. Yeah,
big up Dark Sun G. Really appreciate the support. But everybody at home, we are going to end off now. We'll be back here in 20 minutes' time, getting the watch along up and running. Make sure you get yourself ready. Get them beers out the fridge. Get that dinner or that takeaway ordered up. And let's all get behind the boys. Look, I'm nervous. I'm feeling it like you guys at home. Let's all get back together here for the watch long in 20 minutes' time and hopefully sing the boys to victory. Thank you very much for all of your support today. Between 700 and 800 for the majority of the stream. It's been absolutely incredible to support today from you guys at home. And you know what? It's just been one of them easy ones, in streams gone by, there's been so many difference of opinions and people bickering. It's been one of them, and I love this. I love about this today. No one's needed to preach it. Forget about Angie and Ange out, Levy and Levy out. This is about a cup semi-final tonight. This is about the team, and everyone seems to have parked at the door and ready to go for tonight. So fair play to you all. I want to say a massive thank you to Dermatron, to Moondog, to Hotspurs Emerson, to Faz Radfar, We Are Spurs TV, Daniel Larson, Dalby Skills, Breezy Gas, and Dark Sun G as well for your support today.
Thank you, guys.
Really appreciate it for going the extra mile. Guys, on your way out, please, I ask you to smash that like button. We'll see you back here in 20 minutes' time. As always,
come on, you Spurs.
In
huge
big
game.
I trust heading into this one. Let's go.
Get ready, everybody.
We
See
never
you soon.
stop.